All right, we're live, boys. Godwinson, take it away. Our moderator.
All right, I've been sent by the Killstream Commission to oversee this fight. It's PPP versus Chaggot. Chaggot, otherwise known as Dylan Volt, author of a book called, is it Bad Choices, Good Stories there? You're the son of a state senator and a one-time intern at the Jesse Lee Peterson show. Since then, we've been on a wild ride. I suppose we'll get into a bit of that. Your opponent is PPP, notorious for showing his anus to all and sundry, and since then his political star has only risen, hasn't it? We've got two opponents here. PPP is going to start us off 2 minutes on the debate at hand. PPP, go ahead.
Well, you guys know I'm PPP. I've been just recently introduced to Chaggot, or Dylan, as I'm probably going to call him throughout this. I'll just interchange back and forth. Basically, I saw him on the RV. I didn't really take too much note of him, but, you know, I did a video on him a couple days ago. He responded in the comments. I didn't realize that it was him because he was posting under the Dylan Volk name. I only knew him by Chaggot. So then I started looking into who Dylan was, and I learned that he had a book. His father had a book, so I purchased those books. I read them. It's an incredible story that's gone far beyond the scope of, you know, when I was just saying he got raped by BA or whatever there on the RV. So we're going to expand on that. We're going to ask him some of the questions that you guys, the audience, submitted to me. We're going to go back and forth on this. We're going to get answers to if he's gay. We're going to get answers to if he's a Jew. We're going to get answers to all sorts of crazy stuff here tonight, folks. So I'll turn it over to Dylan, and you can let us know who you are, why you're here, and that sort of thing.
I am Dylan Dylon Volk, also known as Chaggot, author of the book Bad Choices Make Good Stories, My Life with Autism, which is the first book with emojis. And this book is basically the story of me living all over the country, trying to fit in with many different types of crowds, from gay people to black people, lots of dating, and going to jail a few times. And yeah, it's my life story. My life story. I always kind of knew my life was somehow meant to be something bigger than just me experiencing it. Like somehow it was meant for an audience. And that's what this book has done. It's also available on Audible if you want the audiobook. And I narrated it myself. So Audible, Bad Choices Make Good Stories, My Life with Autism, or badchoicesmakegoodstories.com.
Quickly then, the reason why we're actually all here is because PPP made a claim that you had been sodomized by a person we're not allowed to mention for legal reasons. And you commented on his video, correct? Wanting to come on the show and defend your honor.
So I just have to ask.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Were you sodomized?
No, and I don't think he's gay, but he never, ever said anything to me to indicate. Actually, he's probably one of the most homophobic people I've ever met in my life. And no, I've never done anything with a guy. And believe me, I have had the chance.
Well, there's a story in your book that we might bring up about a man who had claimed that he sucked you off. Is this true that this man sucked you off at the party? Because he was telling all of his friends that he sucked you off.
No, what this guy was basically he took my insisting, he liked me. Right. And he took my insisting that I was not gay as a rejection of him personally. So in his mind, I had to have been at least bi-curious, but I just didn't want him. So I was telling him that I was straight. Mm-hmm. And that's not, I just am not gay. You know, I'm not interested in any guy, but you're sure
you're not like bi or gay or anything like that? Shag.
No,
just definitively for the record.
Because I know the context of it, but do you want to explain?
Well, allow Shag to respond.
No, I've never
Are
been...
you a homosexual man, Shag?
I've never been attracted to guys at all. I've always been attracted to girls since I could see, since I can remember. But anyway, this guy.
So, yeah, because you were trying at that time to get in with a group of like homosexual guys as friends, right? That's what was going on.
Right. I thought I could. That's a whole nother topic. But this guy, what he did was, there were already rumors that I was gay because I was acting a little too metro, maybe than I should have been. People with autism, we don't often know how to conduct ourselves. We don't know how to carry ourselves. So we are trying all these different things. And I was trying to be, this new persona. I had dyed my hair blonde, and, I was very, very into pop music. I still am, but this guy knew that he could say that he performed something on me and that everyone would believe him over me because these rumors already existed. And so it was confirming, confirmation bias. And he knew that he knew he could get away with it, and he did.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Well, because again, there's a lot of reasons why somebody might think you're gay. Because, what is you said your favorite song of all time might be Applause by Lady Gaga. You love Madonna. You love
right.
women pop singers.
Right.
Like the list goes on and on. You've said that the person that would have the best taste in pop music would be a gay Black British man, right?
Right.
Do you care to expand or explain that for the audience why that would be?
Have you heard the song Applause, by the way? It's a banger.
Yeah, applause. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, gay people already tend to be very interested in pop music. They're pretty much the only group that I would say actually likes pop music and appreciates it. And gay Black guys tend to have like the exact type of taste in pop music that I like. But British people are just like brilliant with music. Everybody knows that. So a gay Black British guy would just be the ultimate.
The ultimate. How can you disagree with that line of reasoning? Oh,
well, shall we get on topic here then? Chaggot, what actually brings you here? What was your initial grievance against? Is it PPP? I don't know. PPP, yes?
I thought his name was Daka Daka.
Daka Daka. I mean, I don't know. I've just been sent here by the commission to oversee the fight. But PPP, it's saying on the screen here. What is your initial grievance? What brings you here, Chaggot?
Why not? I am not afraid to face my detractors.
So when he's accusing you of being sodomized by a domestic terrorist, I mean, that must have brought some sort of anger in you. That's what's prompted you here, right? Or
no, I thought it was pretty funny, actually. I figured he was doing it for entertainment, for YouTube. And, I had an impression of Daka Daka that I want to do. This man has been sodomized by Baked Alaska having gay anal sex. Chaggot.
There you go. I mean, he's pretty on point there. He's been sodomized, folks. He's been raped by a domestic terrorist in the bum. He's been out by the domestic terrorist. That's basically you're pretty good. That was pretty good there, buddy. I gotta say. So I wanted to get into a little bit. Actually, before we get into the book and all this sort of stuff, last night you were saying something to me that I thought was interesting. You kept mentioning the WQ. And this is a term I had never heard before. And I was just hoping you could make me woke to what the WQ is and what your beliefs are in regards to that.
Well, the WQ, you had never heard that term before at all?
No, to be honest, no. I'm guessing it's.
Have you heard the term the woman? Have you heard the term the woman question?
Not really. I had heard of the JQ, which we may not get into today, but I had not heard of this. And so I was curious about it and what the philosophy behind that was and what you mean by that.
Well, my girlfriend is probably watching and she gets offended and doesn't like some of the stuff that I have to say about this. So, but it means that basically I believe we are in a war between femininity and masculinity. The right represents masculinity and the left represents femininity. And most of what we see, I think, can be explained by what happens when you give people with feminine minded minds. I didn't say that well. People with feminine minded thinking. What happens when you give them power?
Shag, could you just repeat? What did you say? It's a war between femininity and
masculinity.
And do you think you're winning that war?
No, we're getting our ass absolutely you could say, never mind, I won't say that. We are getting our asses kicked, our faces shoved into the dirt and then made to lick and swallow the dirt. That is how.
Which side are you on then, Chaggot?
Well, I'm a man. I'm a man. I believe that I believe in masculinity. I believe that men are good leaders and tend to be more logical. Now there's exceptions. There's plenty of illogical men and there's plenty of women like, Queen Anne Coulter or Mommy Michelle Malkin. But those are women, however, that had a strong male father figure. Because if they did not, so it really basically all comes from us. Because if the woman doesn't have a strong father figure, that's when you get a leftist. That's when I think
PPP, I believe, has a lot to say on the father question here, and I think that links in everything you've just said about a strong father there. And I think PPP would disagree that you have a strong paternal role model. Is that correct?
I would disagree that he has a strong paternal role model because so far as I can see, Derek is a total piece of shit who every step of the way undermined and abused you, shit all over you. That's how I view it. We'll get into some of the reasons why I think that in a minute. But I just say to you, you don't think that men and women, masculinity and femininity go hand in hand, that a husband and wife come together as two halves of one whole and make something beautiful and great?
Ideally, but how often does that actually happen? And how difficult is it to make sure that actually happens properly? Most of the time, what we actually see, people say men and women complement each other. Actually, I would say most of the time, men and women destroy each other. Men destroy women, and women destroy men.
So then how has the human species survived?
Well, how are we doing? Are we doing good?
It's just strange to me, the idea that there must be a war between men and women. That seems like pretty black and white thinking on this issue, right? That there has to be a winner and a loser between men and women, right?
Well, I think basically in society, you can either have a society that's run by feminine power, feminine ideals, or masculine ideals. And generally it's one or the other because the two are very different. Like,
can you tell me what would a feminine ideal be in a masculine ideal?
Take the issue of gun control, gun rights. The anti-gun position is a absolutely undeniably utterly feminine position. It's like, guns are scary, bad guns, we don't want guns, no guns, no violence, no guns. And the masculine position,
just to stop you there, aren't you somebody who's terrified of violence? Like, didn't you get beat up by Baked Alaska? So how can you say that, that's inherently a masculine position for violence? So are you saying you're feminine, or what are you saying?
No, because, well, if you let me finish, the masculine position on guns is a logical and more nuanced one, which is like, guns might be intimidating, they might be scary, but the fact is that they make everybody safer. When more people are armed, it's actually safer. But that concept is hard for people with more feminine inclinations to swallow because they're too hung up on scary guns. So it's too logical.
I don't know what experience you've had speaking to women on this issue, but I just tell you that a lot of women like to arm themselves because it's the only way to equalize themselves to a man. Because
That's
in a
a minority.
confrontation physically with a man, they will
Yeah,
be beaten senseless, right?
They should
so
be.
the gun allows them to defend themselves.
They should be,
And
but
I
that's a
think that-
minority of women. That's a minority of women. I don't know the exact number, but have you seen those maps where it's like, if only blank voted, if only men voted, if only women voted? Have you seen those?
Yeah. Look,
Okay.
I just say this to you. When you posit things as it's a war between men and women, right? And you say that women, like in feminine traits, are inherently like bad and destructive for society. Do you think that that's a winning strategy to alienate half the population and say to them that they're not worthwhile, that they must be defeated and put into subjection? Do you think that that is a winning strategy politically for Republicans or America First?
I don't know whether it's a winning strategy or not. It's just so utterly obvious to me that I'm saying it.
Yeah. Okay.
When you talk of aspects of femininity being bad, is that universal then, Chaggot?
No, it's not at all. However, the women who are on the good side if you look into it.
But I'm talking about aspects of femininity. So you said that, I believe, guns were an example of masculinity, right?
The pro-gun position is a completely masculine position.
Well, just quickly then, that earring on your left earlobe, is that an aspect of femininity or masculinity?
No, actually, a lot of guys with style wear this. And my girlfriend, actually, I had stopped wearing earrings for a couple of years, and my girlfriend pushed me to start wearing them again. She said she liked guys who wear earrings, and black guys wear earrings. Black guys are the most masculine men. They have literally more testosterone. So,
is that something that Nick Fuentes would co-sign?
He would deny that black people have more testosterone? I mean, they obviously have more. So black guys have six packs and they don't even have to work out.
So you're saying the black race is superior to the white race?
No, I'm not doing any of that talk. I'm saying that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. As we agreed before the fight, we weren't supposed to talk about politics.
All right. Let's get into this book. Let's get into this book. Let's get into some of the stuff from it. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to explain that to me because I was a little bit confused on it. So I wanted to bring up, if we could bring it up on screen, I have it as stalkingthis.png. It's a story from your book, actually, where it ends up poorly for you. Now, the way I've entitled that JPEG is a little bit maybe unfavorable, but we'll let the audience decide. So I'm going to read this. It might be pulled up on screen. So there was a girl named Morgan who worked the checkout line at Shaw's, and I thought she was really cute. I chatted her up one day and got her Facebook, but she never accepted my friend request. Most people would take that as a hint and let it drop, but I have a hard time accepting hints that don't make sense to me. If someone rejects me, I not only want them to tell me straight up, I want a detailed explanation. It's an unrealistic expectation I tend to have of people, and it gets me into a lot of trouble. A week later, when I was back in her line, I couldn't resist bringing it up to her. So you didn't think I'd make a good Facebook friend, huh? I asked. Oh, I have a bunch of friend requests just chilling on there, she told me. Again, most people would have taken that as a rejection and moved on. And maybe even I would have a year earlier. But having let go of every ounce of self-discipline I had in life, I wasn't in a state of mind where I could just shake it off. I went outside to my car and just sat there thinking about it, getting more and more rustled. Then about 20 minutes later, I see Morgan walking to her car, holding her uniform like she's leaving for the day. I decided it would be a good idea to follow her in my car. I repeat, I decided it would be a good idea to follow her in my car. I have no idea what I was thinking would come from this. Have you ever had someone ignore you and then you get a strong urge to creep all their social media and just lurk them? I think it was an extreme case of that. And with it being dark outside, I didn't think she would know it was me. I followed this poor girl all the way out to a rural neighborhood 20 minutes away. Eventually, it occurred to me that she knew I was following her because she started driving in circles. So I took off. I still didn't think she could have possibly known it was me following her, though. When I got home, I looked her up on Facebook again, and she had blocked me, but I still didn't connect the dots. I just thought, oh, that's weird. I didn't think I'd hear any more about it, and I definitely didn't realize the seriousness of what I had done. But the next Friday, I got a message on Facebook inviting me to go to a keg party in the woods. It was like the ultimate gift on a lonely Friday night. This guy was all enthusiastic, telling me there was beer and lots of girls, and I needed to come party with them. It should have seemed too good to be true, and the fact that it was out in the middle of the woods should have been a red flag, but I fell right into their trap. They knew I'd accept an invitation to go do something with people on a Friday night. Thank God I wasn't alone. I was with Andre, a friend I had made. Andre may have been somewhat using me because he lived in the dorms, but I was pretty much using him too. My obsession with Black culture at this time was nowhere near finished. And since Andre was Black, he'd bring his other Black friends over. So we went off to this miraculous party where they just decided to invite extra dudes. And when we got there, 3 guys were standing in the side of the road in a deserted parking lot. When I stepped out of the car, these 3 goons rushed towards me and yelled, "Hey, Dylon," in a tone that was far from friendly. Not until that point did it finally strike me that something was wrong. They threw me against the car and started beating up on me. Then Morgan came out of the woods. So basically, these guys jumped you, they beat you up, but you used pepper spray to drive them off. Do you remember this? Do you recall this happening, Dylan? Are you with us?
Oh, yeah. Hang on. Yeah, and I just thank God that I wasn't alone. You know, that would have been so much worse.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just curious, why was it that you thought it was a good idea to follow this girl for 20 minutes out into a rural neighborhood in the dark? Why was that something that you had decided to do?
Well, you know, I think people, and I know I said I thought it was a good idea in the book, but I think people often, I've heard a lot of times people will criticize someone's decision and say, I can't believe that they thought that this was a good idea. But the thing is, a lot of times people don't necessarily think something is a good idea when they do it. What they think is that I really want to do this, and the consequences might not be that bad. So it's worth fulfilling my urge to do it, and it won't be that bad. It's not that everyone thinks everything they do is a good idea.
So you weren't so much concerned about the effect this might have on the girl you were following. You were more concerned about the consequences it might have for you.
I didn't think it would have consequences for me.
Oh, okay. But you weren't at all, the thought never passed your mind of what it might mean for a girl to, you know, have somebody come up to her multiple times, she rejects their advances, and then he happens to follow her in the dark for 20 minutes on a drive?
Well, I didn't think she'd know it was me. I mean, it's dark out.
Does that make it okay to follow a woman 20 minutes in your car in the dark?
I thought I could get away with it.
But you knew it was wrong, right?
I wasn't really, I was thinking, I'm trying to remember. I felt like she should have, my attitude with girls was always, I really, really, really believed in the product I was selling. And I mean, really, like if I didn't believe to my core that I was a good catch, I would not have been able to get my current girlfriend, who I love, or any other previous female I had experiences with. So, you know, I believe that she was making a mistake and she was wrong by not accepting my friend request. I thought she should give me a chance. I don't know what I expected.
Like
following her home.
By your own twisted logic there, right? A rapist would be justified in raping a woman because she was wrong not to have sex with him, right?
No.
Like, you understand. That's what she was saying.
I think that is a misrepresentation, because Chaggot was saying that the product he's selling is undesirable. The autism, right?
No, what?
You sell a product, don't you? That's desirable.
I said I believed in the product I was selling in terms
and that
of
product you sell is in $2, isn't it? Your autism.
The product I was selling was me as a potential boyfriend.
Right. So I just wrote down a few things during that. You said you left behind all aspects of self-discipline. You decided to follow her in your car, creep her on social media. You wanted to go out when it was dark outside so she wouldn't recognize you. How would she know that the product you were selling was made apparent to her when it was dark and you were deliberately making yourself secure?
No, I wasn't thinking that. I was just thinking, all I was thinking was, I was thinking like, I'm frustrated that she didn't accept my friend request. And it's the fact that she wasn't being honest with me, as women rarely are, or men, when they don't want to be friends with you or date you or hang out with you. People are pretty much never honest about the reasons. And that was something always frustrated me in the dating game, because the dishonesty, right? And we're supposed to it's like, oh, it's okay because that's just the dating game. But meanwhile, like, everyone claims honesty is the best policy and everyone claims to be against dishonesty. But it's totally okay as soon as it's in the context of like dating. And that was something that always frustrated me. So she wasn't being honest, of course, about why she wouldn't accept my friend request or why she wouldn't give me a chance. I didn't know why she wouldn't give me a chance. Well, probably because I was fat at the time, but I was, never mind.
But her saying no wasn't enough for you.
She didn't say no.
Declining your Facebook friend request.
She didn't decline it. It was pending. And then when I asked her about it, she said, oh, I just have a bunch of friend requests chilling there, like pretending like, oops, it's not you. I just forgot it. I just have a lot of, people are never honest about not wanting to give you a chance. Never. And that frustrated me very greatly. And so I took that frustration out on her and wanted to kind of give some act of aggression, like, I don't like this dishonesty and you should be giving me a chance, and why can't you tell me the truth? And so I wanted to, and I would never do anything against the law. No, I don't think rape is okay. No, I don't think any physical aggression is okay against women or anyone, but this was not against the law. It was just creepy.
Right. So as long as it's not against the law, it's okay, no matter how anyone else might perceive it. And she had it coming. She had an act of aggression coming, basically, is what you're saying, right?
Well, that is the way I felt at the time. But was it a good decision? No, I wasn't in a good space. But hang on, before we move on, do you know what I mean about how people are never honest about why they do something?
Well, I don't know if people are never honest, but definitely there is instances where people misrepresent their motivations, right? So, I mean, that's just part of life, and you have to.
Well, do you think she wasn't being honest because she wanted to spare your feelings, perhaps, Chag?
Yeah, but actually, no. I think people are not honest because they don't want to make themselves feel uncomfortable, because it would be uncomfortable for them to tell you the honest truth. It's all about them. It's about them. It's not about she gives a shit about my feelings. Maybe that's a distant second afterthought. It's people don't like the feeling of having to tell someone the truth sometimes. And so they avoid it because it's more convenient for them. And the thing is, if we could just be honest about this in society, I wouldn't have ever minded it so much at all, in fact. But we aren't. What we say in society is honesty is the best policy. It's not good to lie. I like people who are straightforward. I like people who tell it like it is. But as soon as it's in the context of dating, all that's out the window. All that's out the window. Oh, yeah, a girl can say, oh, I have a lesbian or I have a boyfriend, and you have to just accept that and not get frustrated with her dishonesty because it's in the context of dating, and all that's out the window.
PPP, would you like to move on to the next quotation?
I'll move on. I just say to you one last thing. You ever heard the expression "all's fair in love and war"? You ever hear that one? It's an old truism. I don't know. Let me move on to another topic here, because I know that one's a bit, interesting. I'll bring up something to do with your father. So this incident happens when you're about 8 years, or I don't know if I think it's you're 11 or 8 years old. I'm not
so
sure.
Which book is this written in? The Chasing the Rabbit or the Bad Decision to Make Good Stories?
This is from Chasing the Rabbit. So the previous.
So this is the book written by his father. Is that right?
This is written by Derek. So he goes to. So I'll just read it. One night, a couple of weeks into our sessions with Mr. Leesburg, we were faced with Dylan in full meltdown mode. Convinced at this point that I had been a complete failure as an authoritative parent, I did what Mr. Leesburg told me to do. I grabbed Dylan off his bed, and as if using a move from professional wrestling, I pinned him face first into his carpet. This was the advice I had been given by an expert, and since nothing we had ever done had helped, and I now believed it was as much of a problem as Dylan, I did what I was told. Dylan's face was smashed into the carpet with all of my weight on top of him. This threw him right over the edge. He went from meltdown to complete collapse. He was having a breakdown, and my aggressive move only made things worse. Dylan was foaming at the mouth, screaming red-faced and thrashing around on the floor, but I held on tight. I held him into the ground, waiting for him to settle down. As I look back on it now, and as I look back on it even later that evening, I wonder what the hell I was thinking. How could I possibly think, knowing Dylan as well as I did, that pushing his face into the carpet, and those are the literal words that Mr. Leesburg told me, push his face into the carpet. How on earth was that going to calm down an 11-year-old boy with Asperger's syndrome, or Asperger's? I finally could not take any more of his screaming, and I was afraid that I might be hurting him. So I pulled him off the floor and held him tight, trying to control him but avoiding the carpet. This was no more effective, and Dylan sprung free from me, grabbed a glass of water that was sitting on his nightstand, and hurled it across the room, smashing a picture frame. Glass flew everywhere, and Amy and I realized for the first time we were simply in way over our head, and we needed more help than any counselor could give us. So we called the police and told them we needed an ambulance and someone needed to take our son to the hospital. We maintained the situation for another 7 or 8 minutes until a police car and an ambulance arrived. So in this particular instance, you were having some sort of, rage, and your father restrained you, was unable to restrain you, and then resorted to calling the police on his 8-year-old son. Do you consider that to be proper parenting by your father, to have called the police on you when you were 8 years old?
My parents were desperate at that time because, as you read in that book, and just from the little bit that I listened, I haven't read the book in a few years, just from the little bit I listened last night to you covering it was very cringy for me. The things that I did to my parents and my family.
So just quickly then, all of that was true.
Yeah.
The when he writes Dylan's face was smashed into the carpet, that was real.
Right. They were extremely desperate at that time because I was making it that way. They got advice from a professional, a guy who should probably have his license taken away and his life ruined. Probably a filthy, what.
Just quickly,
I don't mean anything.
Wouldn't you expect? To take.
I don't mean anything racial there. I mean something political. By the way,
when this person is telling you to perform moves from professional wrestling, don't you think you need to take a step back and not follow that advice? I don't know. I seek a second opinion personally.
Well, it was if it helps, it was only a couple weeks that we saw this guy and then they ditched him. But they were very desperate for answers. Nobody could help them, and this guy was very confident and said he knows what to do. So they tried it because they were trying to leave no stone unturned.
Now, just PPP quickly, is there any remorse around that passage there from the father? Is he regretting this life choice?
He does.
So
Yeah,
in the
he
interest
does-
of honesty, then, this is a sort of trial and error that the parents have been through, raising an autistic child.
Even I remember right after it happened, after they ditched him, he almost got into tears thinking of like how bad of a decision that was to follow that I'm trying to think of the worst name I can call a male. That prick's advice. He was like, he was starting to cry. He was like, that must have been so horrible for you with how you are with your autistic what do they call it? Never mind.
One thing I will bring up, though, is that your father was very much willing to reject the advice of experts in other circumstances. Like when an expert recommended a sticker chart to modify your behavior, he said no to that. He didn't even try that, but he was willing to try the professional wrestling moves. So that's something there. What I find more concerning than anything is the idea that he was unable to control an 8-year-old to the point he had to call the police. I just don't know how that happens as a grown man. It's like an adult, but that's my, I don't know.
What I was trying to say was autistic people can easily get sensory overload. They have sensory issues, meaning like they're very sensitive to loud noises, physical aggression, physical touching, stuff like that, strong smells. And so me getting shoved in, and this goes back to the situation with BA, me getting aggressively touched by anyone is, it's bad for everyone. Nobody likes that, but it's probably three or four times as bad. It's more for an autistic person. It's probably 5 times as intense of an experience. For like when somebody makes a loud noise, when there's a really loud noise, it's painful for me, and more painful than it is for the average person. So yeah, he was almost in tears talking about how that was such a bad decision and how much.
Let me bring up another passage from the book, because I think you've explained that to the best of your ability for sure. So here's a story from Mother's Day of 2004, somewhat similar. I don't know what happened on Mother's Day 2004. This is your father's book, Derek's Chasing the Rabbit. But I know it was a disaster. It seems like days that were designed to bring attention and focus on someone else were particularly challenging for Dylan. It eventually got to the point where we even downplayed the girls' birthdays because of the fear it might set Dylan off. On this Mother's Day, something set him off, and Dylan had one of his biggest meltdowns to date on the afternoon of Mother's Day 2004. He became so out of control that I grabbed him and physically forced him into my car and drove him to the Sweetser Crisis Unit on St. John Street in Portland. The 10-minute ride from Scarborough to Portland was interrupted. When we were pulling up the ramp of Route 295, Dylan pulled Serena's car seat out of its seatbelt and hurled it at my head while I was driving. It struck me in the back of the head as I was navigating a sharp angle on-ramp. When I felt the pain of a car seat to my head, I lost it, swerved over to the side of the road, and tore Dylan out of the car. There was a large hill as the ramp goes from a lower road to the height of Route 295. As I pulled him out from the car, I whipped him around with all the strength I had, and he went tumbling down the hill. As angry as I had been a moment earlier, I was struck by what I was capable of. As I watched him roll down the hill, I ran down, grabbed him, and asked him if he was okay. Instead of a moment that we might reconnect emotionally, he shoved me hard and stormed up the hill. My moment of sympathy went away as he ran for the car. I was afraid of what he might do. Was he going to get in the car and lock the door? Was he going to get in the car and try and drive it? Was he going to damage the vehicle by vandalizing it in some way? I ran up after him to make sure he didn't do anything to damage my car, or more importantly, himself. I told him to get in the car, but he refused and started walking away. Luckily, I was still bigger and much stronger than he was, so I chased him again, grabbed him, and forced him back into the car in the hopes I could make it the 5 or 6 minutes to the crisis unit. So Do you think your father acted appropriately at this time by choosing to throw you down the hill? And how steep was this hill he threw you down? Did you suffer any negative physical effects from this?
Does he keep cutting out for anybody else, or is it just me?
Me?
Yeah, audio.
I mean, the extracts are a bit long, aren't they? I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not sure, Chaggot.
No, I said, does he keep cutting out? Does the audio keep cutting out?
I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah, I can hear
audio.
you. I don't know. I think it might just be you. The chat seems to say just you. But are you aware of this instance, Mother's Day 2004? Your dad throws you down the hill. Did this happen?
I actually don't remember that at all, and I'm not trying to cop out like I didn't remember that. I don't remember.
Just quickly,
that.
how old would you have been in 2004, Chaggot?
12.
12.
Right.
I actually don't remember that incident.
PPP,
Okay.
What's your point here when you bring up the father throwing his son down a hill story?
Well, I'm just wondering because, when you have these instances of where the father gets violent with his son and you have these confrontations going on, I wonder if it led to any of the behavior that Chaggot would later have in life, particularly confrontations with violence, like having anxiety in the bait situation. Or for instance, like I'll read this extract here about him picking his skin. So, like...
Just quickly, how long is that? Because, I mean, he'll need a chance to respond to that, what you've just said there.
Okay, well, respond to that there, if you can, Dylan. And then I'll read this. It's like a paragraph.
So, I mean, what he's just said there is, do you think that the violent episodes you've experienced at the hands of your father in the past, when you were a child, have they influenced how you are now? Or is that a different thing, Chaggot?
No, I think my dad showed tremendous over his entire, including up till now. We got in an argument about 6 months ago about a certain historical event that I will not name, but you can just use your imagination on that. And he was so mad that he...
Well, I mean, can you give us a clue? Can you give us a clue, Chaggot?
No.
What is this? 6 months?
A historical event from the 20th century that I will not name, but he was so mad that he almost was about to use physical violence. And then I said, oh, so you're going to use physical violence? That's what they always use. And then he was like, nope, I'm not. So my point is my dad has showed incredible restraint through his entire fatherhood career and up till now, not using violence against me. And it was only on the rarest of occasions that I pushed him so far to the point, but frankly, I deserved to be punched so many more times and pushed so many more times than he ever did. I pushed him to the point. I mean, I don't think you understand from reading the book how much of a problem, how much of a difficult person I was to deal with. So no. Most fathers would have done far worse.
Yeah. As a difficult child, though, you feel like you deserve to be punched and beaten for your behavior as a child?
Well, most fathers would have done far worse. Like you would be hard pressed to find a father who showed more restraint than my dad.
Okay.
Is there any further thing you want to say on that, or do you want to move on to your next extract?
I'll move on. I'll sort of summarize some of these, in the interest of brevity, because I understand this is, I'm reading like an essay almost each one. So, there's a passage in your father's book where he talks about how you would pick your skin as a child, that, you would bleed everywhere, that at one point you bled all over your math work and the teachers wouldn't handle it. Your socks were often bloody from the scabs. You want to tell us about that? Like, was there any particular reason that it was like that? Was it a compulsion? Was it from anxiety? What was the reasoning for that?
Yeah, it was just basically a minor version of, the cutters, the kids who cut themselves.
And you don't think that might have anything to do with any sort of trauma that you suffered at your father's hands or anything like that? that you had that sort of anxious response, or was it trauma from the school? Because I know that that is a response that oftentimes kids have to traumatic events, right?
Well, no, I was the one causing trauma for them.
I see. I see. Okay. I'll move on to something else here. Maybe a bit lighter. Actually, this isn't a bit lighter. This is one thing that we do have to cover, which is that you got checked into a mental hospital called Spring Harbor, right, Dylan?
Yeah.
When was that, for the record?
Spring of 2004.
So you were 12.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Continue.
the long and short of it is your parents sent you to this mental hospital when you were 12 because you were acting out. And then the week that you were in the hospital, they went on a Disney cruise without you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Sorry, can you just repeat that? I missed that. They went on a
Disney cruise. They went on a Disney cruise while their son was in the mental hospital, alone in the mental hospital. Did you feel at all depressed that your family had left you in the mental hospital to go on a Disney cruise? Did that affect you negatively in any way, Dylan?
No, I mean, they had already booked it. They would have lost all their money, and for what? You know, they weren't supposed to be there anyway while I was getting the treatment. I was in a hospital program for treatment, and I needed time away from them. We needed a break from each other anyway. So I don't understand the harm of that.
Can you establish what the harm of that might be, PPP?
Well, I don't know. I just think that to a lot of people, it seems pretty f***ed up so that while your son is in the mental hospital, to go on a Disney cruise with the rest of the family without your son, have a great, wonderful time with him not there. And in the book, I mean, he writes about how great it was that you weren't there. What a relief it was for your father not to have to deal with you, that he was on this Disney cruise. And yeah.
That's true. That's true. I was the one causing trauma for them. I was being a absolute nuisance. I was such a problematic basket case. And yes, it was the disability, but you know, it was still me.
And now the only thing I want to bring up on this, and then I'll move on. I don't know if Godwinson wants to do any follow-ups on this, but I think it was your grandmother, Janet, ended up taking your place on the cruise, right?
Yeah.
Right. And the reason she took the role on the cruise was to look after the children so that your father and mother could have fun on this Disney cruise. The way I look at it is I feel like they sent you to the mental hospital so they could go on this cruise and have fun and have the grandmother take care of the kids. And it really had nothing to do with what your condition was at the time. They just straight up just sent you to this mental hospital to get rid of you so they could go on this cruise guilt-free with the grandmother taking care of the kids. That's how it seemed to me as I read this. I don't know if you ever felt that or if you ever thought that might have been a possibility, but what do you think of that theory I have just reading that?
I don't even think that that's what you really think. I think that you are reading it and trying to determine the most negative possible interpretations of the reading that you can, just for like entertainment value. I mean, I don't even really think that that's what you think based on reading.
Well, PPP, can you confirm whether that's a sincere belief you hold?
Well, he's obviously not going to confirm that.
Well, what I would say is I'm not 100% sure that happened or that's the case. It's just something that I think of because I just don't know what loving parents would send their son to the mental hospital at 12 years old and go on a Disney cruise without him and say what a relief it was not to have to be with their 12-year-old son. That's all I'm saying. And it's just coincidental that the grandmother took your place to take care of the kids so Derek could have fun. That's all.
I have been causing them absolute trauma. I mean, without me, They probably almost have no issues. You know how people say nobody's perfect, nobody's perfect. That's true, but some people are a lot closer than others to perfect. If you hang on, if you minus me, if you subtract me from my family, they are as close to perfect as any family can possibly get. And so I was the one causing them distress, trauma, chaos for years. And so for them to go on like a 5-day cruise that they had already paid for, and they deliberated, you read how much they deliberated over the decision whether to bring me or not, and how they weren't just like gung-ho about it. They actually, you know, weighed the options, and you read that they didn't just do it enthusiastically. But yeah, like for them to say it was a relief to not have me, no shit, I was causing them chaos for years.
I just don't know, man. I appreciate your perspective on that. We'll move on to something else. I wanted to talk to you briefly about some of the medicines that your parents put you on as a child, and then we'll move away from your childhood. We'll move back into your book and some of the stuff from your book. I know you'd prefer, I think, to talk about that. But in terms of medicines you were on, let me just read what you were on. So his first medication at age 7 was Clonidine. Then he was on Ritalin at age 8. Then 2 months later, he was on Prozac at age 9, Tenex at 9.5, Adderall at age 11, back on Clonidine at 11, Strattera at 11.5, Zoloft at 11.5. And then as well, later on, you were put on more Adderall, and then Topamax at age 12.5, Depakote at age 12.5, Risperdal at age 12.5, and then Buspirone at 13.5. Then at age 14, you were put on Abilify, which made you jittery and caused a weight gain. So I'm just curious as to what your opinions were on all these various drugs that you were put on, and if you think it was the right call to have put you on so many mind-altering medications at such a young age. I know it was a different time. Your parents may not have known as much, but...
Well,
right. Chaggot,
one thing I want to say is, you know, when in defense of pills in general, you know how people often say, there's no magic pill. There's no magic pill. That's absolute bullshit. There are magic pills. If anything, I would say all pills are magic pills. I mean, how do they get whatever the that is all in that little tiny vial, and then you just drink it with water, and then it literally transforms whatever symptom you're having? I would say all pills are magic pills. And
even the illegal ones there, Chaggot.
I mean, if there's any, obviously magic is not a real thing, but if there's anything that is closest to like real world magic, it's pills. Okay. And so I am a big supporter of pills. I took like 11 this morning. I'm exaggerating. It was like 7 or 8, but
all prescription.
What?
Were they all prescription?
No. Some of them are over the counter, but yeah. None of them are illegal, if that's what you're asking. But no, pills are awesome. I heart pills. Okay. And I don't think my parents did anything wrong by trying to find some pills that would help me, because many of them did. And some of them didn't. Yeah. But you don't know that. There's no way to know that before you try them. So,
right. Well,
this sounds like a fair response, PPP. What would you say to that? I mean, his parents did his best. They sought some medication out for him. And the magic pills work.
I just say, right, you know, but because you several times had threatened suicide to them, this sort of thing. I know you were on Zoloft at 11.5. Zoloft is no longer recommended to people under the age of 18 because it can cause suicidal thoughts. Do you think potentially something like Zoloft or these other drugs might have caused you to have suicidal thoughts, maybe?
No, it never got that bad. I was never really suicidal. I sometimes talked about it for attention, to try to convey how upset I was. But was I ever really thinking about suicide? No, because my mom told me, if you kill yourself, guess what happens?
You're going to hell.
Yeah. Yes. And so therefore, in my logical autistic brain, I said, nope, not worth it. Not going to happen.
So,
but I wanted to show you something.
Yeah.
I wanted to show you. Sure. I wanted to show you something. This is my pill bag, and these are all the pills I take. You see that? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All these pills, baby.
Do you take all of those on a daily basis, or
some during the day, some at night? Shit.
So what sort of stuff do you got there? Do you want to show us some of the crazy stuff?
Sure, yeah. Well, this I take every day. This is a thermogenic. Do you know what that is?
No, I have no idea.
Moderator.
Do you know?
Thermogenic. Does it warm you up? Does it heat you?
Well, yeah. It heats up your insides. It basically heats up your insides so that. Yeah, it's kind of like pre-workout in a pill. Yeah, and right. It gives you like energy for the whole day, and you burn more calories when you work out. This is to help me continue to sleep at night. Melatonin, some vitamin D3. I was told I need to take that. Estrodim. This is to block estrogen. I've got a Plenzin. This was an alternative to another pill that I've got here, Wellbutrin, which is pretty much the same thing. Helps me control my appetite. Then I've got this I take on Mondays and Fridays. It's to help with my testosterone therapy. And this omeprazole for acid. It's an acid reducer. And then Trintilex. This shit literally like makes me happy. It helps with my serotonin levels. And Armor Thyroid. This helps with thyroid.
Right. Okay, so that's all the stuff. So we're on the topic of drugs. So this will be a more fun discussion, I think, because I want to talk to you about the first time you took meth. We're gonna read this section.
Hold up. Chaggot. If you smoke the Wellbutrin, if you smoke it, buddy, crush it up, put it on some tobacco in a pipe, and smoke it. And it will make you feel in your head like cocaine, but like way happier. Like it's like a really happy coke high. That Wellbutrin you got, give it a go. It's a real magic pill.
Yeah, Surfer has smoked Wellbutrin in the past, so
I smoked that shit. I'm riding my skateboard around town. I smoked it for a week straight. I've never seen it since, but give it a go. I'm disgusting.
Yeah, so we're into the happy fun time recreational.
So you won't need any more pills if you follow that advice, Chaggot.
Yeah, you won't need anything. You'll just be happy all the time, bro. And I mean, meth, you'll say here, made you feel normal and made you feel happy. So we'll get into meth. And this stuff. So I'll read this paragraph. I had tried all the typical party drugs, Molly, cocaine, ecstasy pills. I think because of the autism and how intensely logical my mind is, I noticed it would take a lot more drugs to get me to feel something than other people. I would spend half the night in my head like, wait, am I high? Is the drug working? One of the drugs popular in Texas was, of course, crystal meth. Logically thinking, meth is a stronger version of coke. So I said to myself, why not give it a try? Maybe I'll actually feel it. You might be horrified at how ubiquitous meth was. It was normalized for me into just another party drug. However, unlike the other party drugs, I definitely knew I felt something. Finally, I had a drug where I didn't sit there all night questioning if I was high. This was the real deal. This was freaking meth. So tell us about it, Chaggot. Tell us about your first experience smoking meth and how that went for you, how it made you feel, all that good stuff, and the people you were around at that time and all that, man.
And just quickly, how old were you?
24.
24 when you first tried meth, but before then you tried a few other party drugs.
Right, yeah.
And what was the first party drug you'd taken, and how old were you?
Well, I guess I think I did Molly, some
Yeah.
Molly, and then I tried cocaine like about a year later, and then I realized that like damn, it takes a lot of these drugs to feel something. I'm Jewish. I like a good value for my money. So I thought if I just do meth, then I would be able to do a little bit and feel and get a good bang for my buck. So and that was true. So I started doing meth, and I was like, I just felt on top of the world. It was like, I also, I really liked it because it amplified my, my obsession with pop music, and like listening to music was completely different on meth. It was like another experience. It was like I'm sure you've heard about listening to music on X drug. That's how it was for me on meth. For a lot of people, I've heard that it's sex. That was not the case for me. It was music for sure. And I would take meth and just obsess over, music. And as I talk about it, it's making me want to do it again. But I'm not going to do it again.
Well, when was the last time you took meth, Chaggot?
Early 2017.
Right. Now, with the meth, you were also taking a drug called G, which you describe as a date rape drug. I'm not familiar with this drug, but how did it make you feel? You said you like to take it in combination with meth. I've not taken this drug, and I'm not familiar with it. So let me know, what it's like.
It was probably, I would say, even more fun than meth. Kind of like liquid ecstasy is what it was. I would say it's it's like a combination of being drunk and on Molly.
Okay, because there's a story in your book that is kind of wild to me. So you were working for this, what was it, edible arrangements company, right? Do you know the story I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to read that out, or do you want to just explain for people what
it's probably best if he just explains it, because it's his memories, isn't it?
It's your memories, yeah.
Yeah, I got called into work for, actually, I forgot that I had work the next morning, and I was up all night doing meth and G with some gay guys. And
right, yeah.
I realized that, they texted me and they were like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "Oh no." And then I had to have my friend drive me in my car there just so I could have an extra 25 minutes to sober up. That didn't really work. And then once I got there, I was still like rolling on G and meth, of course, but the G was what really caused the problem. Meth would have been, no problem. Lots of people work on meth. The G makes you like retarded. So, and I pulled off the stunt of a lifetime. I went up to my boss, shook her hand. I said, "Yeah, let me take the keys to the car." I was driving. It was a driving job. I was a delivery person. She gave me the keys to the car. I said, "Okay, I'll pull the car around front." And I had to do all of that and pretend like I wasn't falling over from side to side.
Yeah, you said you could barely stand in the book. But
right. I could barely stand. And they actually did ask me. They said, they pulled me aside and they were like, "Is everything okay? Because you seem a little off. Like, are you okay? Are you sick or something?" And I had to play a straight face. I had to be like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm fine. And I convinced them to let me have the whip. So they gave me the keys. Yeah. They gave me the keys. But then once I started trying to drive, I was still so retarded on G, that I had to sit in a parking lot for like a half an hour and blast some pop music just so I could get to the point where I could drive the car. And it was raining too. It was fucking raining.
But you managed to get all the deliveries done that day.
Yes.
Right?
Oh yeah.
How many deliveries do you think it was? Like, how long were you out there for?
Like 6 or 7.
6 or 7. How many hours? Like 2 hours?
Oh, like 4 or 5 hours.
4 or 5 hours. And at what point did the meth wear off? And you were like, did you wear off by the end of the shift?
I just sat in the parking lot and I sat there just like, oh, and I was blasting some pop music, some Fifth Harmony. You know, you don't got to go to work. And then after like a half an hour of that, I was able to barely drive.
Crazy, man. But you made it happen.
Yeah.
You fucking made it happen.
I drove that Kia Soul and I delivered those goddamn chocolate covered pineapple.
There you go. But then later on, so you didn't get busted for that. You got away with that one.
Yeah.
But then there's a later incident where it's not as clear cut. You kind of got your comeuppance for driving high on meth because you got arrested with meth on you, but you didn't have the meth in your system that time, right? Do you want to explain how you got arrested that time and the meth was in the
They thought that I was driving drunk because I had crashed into a snowbank. Actually, it was my female friend was driving, but she started freaking out and she actually called a taxi in the time we were waiting for AAA. She called the taxi, offered for me to come with her. And I said, no, I'll just stay with the car. And so she left. And I did what anybody would do. If I'm in my own car in the passenger seat and the driver leaves, are you going to stay in the passenger seat or are you going to move over to the driver's seat? Right.
Yeah.
So I just I moved over the fucking driver's seat. I had the heat on. I had the car running. So the heat was on because it was like 20 degrees. And then the cops showed up and thought that I had been driving and, DUI'd into a snowbank. That's actually not what happened. It was actually the girl who did that. And then they actually called the girl, and guess what happened? I know. A girl lying? Can you imagine a female lying to police? I know. It's crazy. Crazy, right? So that's what happened. And of course, guess who they believed? Do you think they believed the man or the woman?
Tell me.
No, you already know.
Well, they believed the woman. They believed the woman over you. Do you think it was just because she was a woman, or was it that you were lying? Because you have been known to lie throughout your life, even when your grandfather said to you, if you can stop smoking, every month, and you said to him, well, I'll lie to you about that, So it's tough sometimes to trust you on this stuff that happened, right? So you can see why you might have a bit of a credibility issue on this, right?
Well, so just quickly, he's calling you a liar, Chaggot. How do you respond to him calling you a liar?
Well, these cops didn't know any of that history. All they knew was I have a man here, I have a woman here, woman telling me A, man telling me B. If it was the other way around, I mean, I don't know. What do you think would have happened? I don't know if it was all because that she was a woman. I'm not saying that, but I think it helped. I think it leaned that direction. Not everything is black and white. Some things are gray. I think that her being a woman tipped the scales in one direction. Right. And I think that, and so they believed her, even though she was just, lying to save her own ass. And they tried to get me for DUI. Thank God I hadn't drinking very much. And so, and I know what you're supposed to do. When the cops try to get you to do a breathalyzer test, you know that you don't have to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can refuse to do it, and then they have to give you blood work. They have to get a warrant to take your blood and all that stuff, right?
Right.
So you were trying to buy more time.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. So I knew that, and I knew that from listening to the Tom Leykis show. Do you guys know Tom Leykis?
I don't know Tom. Oh, he knows me.
Blow me up, Tom.
Yeah. So the Tom Leykis show. He has a
the Tom Leykis.
The Tom Leykis 101. Yeah, he has a lawyer on there who especially defends men, and so he said that. So I knew you could refuse the breathalyzer, and then you. But
the thing is, the thing is with a lot of Tom Leykis stuff, it was mostly actors. Do you know
what? It was what?
Mostly actors. Like his call-ins were mostly actors. I think the biggest controversy that he had, it was that Didn't someone call in and say that they killed their wife?
Confess to murder. Yep.
Yeah.
That was a real thing. I don't think his callers were actors. I think that women.
No, that lawyer he had on was an actor, wasn't he?
Are you talking about Adam something?
Yeah.
No, he's a real lawyer. You can look him up and call his office and everything. I did once.
So I mean, what you're saying is you've taken Tom Leykis's advice to heart, and you're using that in real life.
It was a lawyer that he had on the show who was saying the fact that you don't have to actually take the breathalyzer, though they may try to intimidate you into believing you do. You don't, but you can buy time.
But were you intoxicated enough to fail that breathalyzer had you taken it there?
I was probably right on the edge. Honestly, I had had like 1.5 drinks because I was on meth, right? I didn't really need to drink that much. And so
you probably were not in a fit state to drive. You were probably endangering a lot of people's lives.
But I wasn't driving. It was the girl who was driving.
Well, why would you be breathalyzed?
Because they thought I was driving because I moved into the driver's seat after she called a taxi and left.
So why is this a relevant story then, PPP, in this debate?
Because it's how I got arrested for meth.
Yeah, it's how he got arrested.
So you're a wrongly convicted man then, or are you?
Well, no, I had meth. I was guilty of having possession of meth, but what the cops thought is that I was driving, which I wasn't, and driving drunk, which I wouldn't have even been if I was driving. But see, the cops, they saw me sitting in the driver's seat, crash into a snowbank. The girl's gone, and they thought, okay, this guy's been driving. Maybe he's drunk.
You were still in possession of meth, which is worse.
Yeah, but I wasn't driving. So.
But you were. But
bro, yes, the crime that you committed and were found guilty of, went to jail for, was far, far worse than being mistakenly identified as being the driver of that vehicle.
Oh, I disagree. A DUI is far worse than what I got. An OUI or a DUI, that would have been way more destructive to my life.
Than getting caught with meth.
Hell yeah.
Possessing meth.
Hell yeah. Because that would have affected my license. And also, it's a lot more expensive, too. It costs like $10,000 for a DUI.
Well, do you think you should have been driving if you were taking all that meth and that G? I don't think you should have been driving.
I wasn't driving.
You were before.
Not at the time, but you were driving previously, weren't you? The story is there that you were driving whilst on meth and G.
Yeah, in a different city, on the other side of the country.
Regardless of whether it was, you were still endangering people's lives going out in that intoxicated state.
But I sat in the parking lot until I could sober up a little.
For 25 minutes.
On meth.
Oh yeah.
And G.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You don't see a problem with that?
I do, but thank God I didn't get caught for it.
I guess there, man. I guess. Tell us the story of when you got arrested because of the dogs. Your dad told you to walk dogs. You had 3 dogs. Some bitch fucked you over. What happened? How did you get arrested with the 3 dogs, bro?
I was walking 3 dogs at once, and the lady started harassing me, saying that I was being too harsh with the leash, yanking the leash. She followed me around the block and up into my driveway. I got a baseball bat, and I said, you got 10 seconds to leave my driveway. 10, 9, 8, 7, and I counted all the way down to 1. She didn't leave my driveway, so I smashed her window or her mirror with the baseball bat, and I told her I was going to do that, and she didn't leave. It was a white. I don't know why you thought she was black. Black people are not animated about animal rights. Only white people are animated about animal rights.
So you smashing her windows, that was another crime, wasn't it, Chaggot?
Yeah, and it's frustrating because in that instance where I actually, you could say I did do something wrong, even though I was completely unfairly provoked. I still did do something wrong by smashing her mirror. My parents totally took my side for that. But then a month later, in the story you read about where I bumped into a girl accidentally at 1 mile an hour 1 mile an hour. I literally let my foot off the brake and the car rolled forward in neutral. And
so you ran someone
went,
over. You ran. You
No,
ran a
no,
girl over.
He
No.
ran a woman.
No,
You ran
no,
a woman
no,
over.
no. Did you hear what I just said?
You said you ran a girl over.
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that. Did you hear what I said?
Repeat it.
No, I think you heard it. Come on.
You
heard it.
ran someone over as well.
No, that's not what I said. Did you actually hear what you heard what I said?
You ran someone over.
No, you heard what I said.
You hit them with your car.
You closer. Now you're getting closer. Almost there. What did I actually say?
I don't know, Chaggot. I mean, I heard a crime. I heard
I
you
just
mowing
said
someone
it.
down.
I just said it. You weren't listening?
So you feel no remorse for mowing someone down in your car, Chaggot?
That's not what I did. Did you hear what I said?
PPP, what did he say?
He said he ran a woman over in his
No, I
vehicle.
didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't say that. What were my actual words?
Well, you said it was at a low speed, but the issue is you still ran a woman over.
No, I didn't. I didn't run her over because she didn't even fall down because of this. It was at such a low speed at 1 mile an hour. I literally let my foot off the brake and the car rolled forward in neutral.
Why were you?
So what was the consequence of
It
that?
literally bumped.
Chaggot, what was the
literally
consequence of that?
It literally bumped her like, oops.
Yeah, but what was the
didn't even fall
repercussion on
over.
you for that? Like what?
And it was a
how did this
complete.
bounce back
It
on
was
you?
a complete accident. I did not
Sure,
do it. On
Sure,
purpose.
an accident. But how did it impact you?
It impacted me in the most anti-male way possible.
Please continue.
Which is that because I was a man and she was a woman, I got sent to jail. And
How long for?
2 weeks in jail because I was born with a penis. Because if this had happened,
I mean, what were you charged with, Chaggot? What was the
I was
criminal
charged
charge?
with a hit and run, which
So you were charged with a hit and run, okay? And you were found
leaving the
guilty of a hit
scene.
and run.
I was charged with leaving the scene of an accident, which is absolute
a hit and
bullshit,
run, and you were found guilty of that.
which
weren't
is
you?
absolute. I actually don't remember what happened with that. I think there was some kind of bargain, but I was.
So you pled guilty.
I don't remember. Honestly, there've
You
been
don't
so
recall.
many. No, I've been to jail so many times. I don't remember what happened with each one.
Well,
But it
speaking
was.
of which,
But the criminal
tell us-
definition had that down as a hit and run. So regardless of what speed you hit this woman at, you still were found guilty.
But here's why it wasn't. They charged me with leaving the scene of an accident. There was no scene to leave from. I didn't leave the scene of anything because there was.
So you mowing a woman down in your car.
I didn't mow a woman down. You're pretending like you didn't hear what I said and deliberately misrepresenting what I said.
Well, I'm just looking at the facts, and you were convicted
No, you're
of
not.
a hit and run. You pled guilty, or you were found guilty.
You're not
and you
looking at the
served
facts
2
because
weeks
you're
in prison.
ignoring. You're deliberately ignoring what I said and what's written in the book.
Right. Well, tell us about. So you were in jail a number of times. One time you said you were the talk of the block, the cell block, and you had all the black inmates in there loved you. Tell us about that. When you were in jail, you remember this? The black inmates loved you.
Somebody in the chat is saying that I hit a woman. That's a crime. I didn't hit a woman. The car rolled forward at 1 mile an hour. Do you know how slow 1 mile an hour is? It's like if you get hit by a car at 1 mile an hour, that is not anything. Like you just get like, oops.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a tap. It's like a tap on the shoulder.
But you still hit her.
No, I didn't hit her. That's a completely misrepresentative
So what, just quickly,
phrase.
then why did you serve
hit her.
2 weeks in jail?
Because we have a legal system that is absolutely ferociously anti-male, and they will arrest a man anytime they get the opportunity when a woman cries wolf.
But isn't the opportunity that's been presented is the fact that you've been involved in a hit and run? That's
They manipulated they manipulated it into, because they knew that they could say that and that it would look like that. So they spun it. They spun it as that. It's kind of like how James Fields, I'm not comparing myself to James Fields, but it's, how James Fields.
So is James Fields the Charlottesville murderer? Is he an innocent man?
Of course.
He also he's an innocent man, is he?
He got his car attacked by Antifa, and he panicked and hit the gas because he was being attacked. This is a known thing that Antifa does. They surround somebody's car and go like that.
Well, were
Can
Antifa surrounding your car during the hit and run?
What?
Just quickly. Were Antifa surrounding your car during that?
I said I'm not comparing. I said I'm not comparing myself to James Fields. I was just making a
comparison. Please continue, Peter.
No, I just wanted to say, like, it seems you have issues with women because it wasn't much after this hit and run and after the dog incident that you pepper sprayed your sister, who's 14 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about how you justify pepper spraying your 14-year-old sister.
Well, in this instance, I think.
Quickly, were you calling that at the time content spray, or was it still a weapon of choice?
No, I didn't call it content spray back then, but she kept hitting me, and this is not written in the book. I was actually horrified that this was not in the book last night. From hearing your coverage, I
can read the passage, but go ahead.
I thought that I corrected all the inaccuracies and omissions when I was reading the book before it came out, and I guess it's my fault that I didn't correct this, and it's very convenient that my dad didn't recall it. But I actually texted my mom and my dad today, and I said, I can't believe you didn't put that in the book. Like, if we get the chance, I hope you can change that, like get that changed in the editing room or something and reprinted, because it's completely left out that my sister was hitting me and that she had been hitting me repeatedly. It was about the third or fourth time that she was hitting me when she was frustrated. Now, I was being obnoxious. I was being a total douchebag. Yes. But she was hitting me, and I didn't.
How old were you? How old were you?
20.
How old?
You were 20 and she was 14 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, but you can't hit a girl, and obviously you can't hit a minor. So,
but it's okay to pepper spray. But it's okay to pepper spray a 14-year-old
Well, I would
girl.
say no, because it was my sister. It was a very misplaced act of aggression. However, let me just tell you, if it was any girl other than one of my sisters, I would be immensely proud of the fact that I pepper sprayed them, and I would look back at it so fondly. Oh God, like, you made a girl face consequences for her actions after she attacked you. You had her screaming out in pain. Oh, it would warm my heart. But since it was my sister, I do regret it, because it was a misplaced form of, I shouldn't have done that to my sister,
Do you understand that there were other options than pepper spraying your sister, right?
No, there aren't. If a girl hits you, you have zero options.
Was your life in danger? Could you not have left the room?
Your life doesn't have to be in danger for you to be physically aggressive. Pepper spray
a 14-year-old girl. It's a 14-year-old girl, your own sister. You pepper sprayed her. You have no remorse.
I already said I do have remorse. I already said I do, because she was my sister.
You're a piece of shit. You are a piece of shit, Chaggot.
I already said it. You didn't hear what I said.
You said if it was any other woman but your sister, you would have been proud to have pepper sprayed a woman.
And I believe
because she aggressed against me.
The quote was, you'd have enjoyed hearing the screams of their pain.
No, that was not the quote. You're misquote. You're only giving the second half of the. Give the full quote. Give the full quote.
Would you
give the full quote?
Would you revel in their pain, Chaggot?
Give the full quote. Give the full quote.
Would you revel in their pain?
No, it wasn't. Give the full quote.
Would you revel in their pain, Chaggot?
Give the sentence before that.
As they're blinded.
Give the sentence before that. Give the sentence before that.
You tell us what the sentence was. What did you say?
No, he got the quote. He can give the sentence before that. Give the sentence before that.
The sentence before that, right? Okay. I would gleefully jump up and down, clapping my hands as I do so, hearing their screams of pain as I blind them with the content spray. That's the exact quote. Chad.
No, it's not. I never said jumping up and down or clapping my hands. Give the real quote. Give what I said before that.
You said if it wasn't my sister,
you would have been proud.
You would have been proud to do it.
If it wasn't my sister, and if she did what? What did I say?
If she provoked you. She didn't even have to attack you.
No.
If she provoked you.
No.
What would she have to do then, Chaggot?
That's not what I said. Give what I actually said. Don't misrepresent me.
What did you actually say then, Chaggot? Come on.
You know what you should have been listening. Why weren't you listening?
I was writing down you saying you wanted to feast on their pain. And you selectively wrote down certain sentiments that you wanted to the most shocking things that turned my stomach. Yeah, that's what I'm writing down here.
Okay, right.
But you're claiming that if you're
which leaves out my explanation.
So, I mean, is you being attacked by, let's do the right quote, you being attacked by a woman, right? Let's say slapped. Is the appropriate response then to blind her, Chaggot?
It's not blinding. It's a temporary pain.
Blindness, isn't it?
No, it's not blindness. It's a temporary pain. And it says that in the book, actually.
Can they see?
Spraying pepper. Yeah. It's like spraying pepper. And let me ask you a question. What do women do when they can't attack a man back? When a man attacks them and they can't fight back, what do? They use pepper spray. So what should we do?
What delusional planet are you on? A woman has to use a weapon to defend herself from a man.
Yeah, so do we.
You are
and so do we, because we're not allowed to hit back.
You were a grown-ass man, and she was your sister.
And 14, so do we, because we're not allowed to hit back. We're not allowed to hit back.
What was the consequence of this? Your father kicked you out of his house permanently.
Well, if it hadn't been my sister, let's say it was any other girl, there would have been no consequence.
You can't even be trusted to not get violent with your own flesh and blood.
I said it was a mistake because she was my sister. And I shouldn't have done that to someone who's my own family. I shouldn't have misplaced that act of aggression towards somebody of my own family. However, if it wasn't my sister, there would be no consequences, because that would be perfectly legal and perfectly just self-defense. We're not allowed to hit women, so we're going to use what they use against us when they can't hit us. And that's perfectly fair.
So by your logic, if a woman threw water on you at a bar, would you be able to pull out your gun and shoot her in the head?
No, that's not a proportionate response, but pepper spray is.
Is blinding someone a proportionate response?
It's not blinding. Is she blind?
She's temporarily blinded, Chad.
Is she blind?
You admitted so yourself.
Is she blind?
Your own grandmother
is she blind?
Because your
is she blind? Is she blind?
She's temporarily blinded, Chaggot, and she probably might be blinded.
Is she blind?
When you spray something into someone's eyes.
I don't even know if that's true, but if it was, it's for a couple of minutes.
If you're a couple of minutes, I mean, do you think that's a proportionate response then to someone throwing water?
If it was any girl other than my sister, absolutely, because guess what? They asked for it when they aggressed against me.
So if someone throws water on you, that gives you a perfect right.
She wasn't throwing water on me; she was hitting me.
How hard?
The question I've asked: if someone throws water on you, is a proportionate response to throw pepper spray into their eyes?
She wasn't throwing water on me; she was hitting me. We're not talking about water; we're talking about hitting, physical hitting.
The question I've asked twice now is the proportionate response to somebody throwing water on you to blind them temporarily.
She wasn't throwing water on me, so why does that question make any sense?
We're talking about your reactions to.
Right, and she wasn't throwing water on me.
But this isn't just your sister, is it? This is your last year. This is the RV. This is you going around touring America, inflicting acts of violence upon people using your content spray. I believe it's called TikTok dancing.
No, I've never inflicted any violence on anyone.
Calling the police to try and get you extricated from these shots, not wearing a mask.
I've never inflicted violence
and hanging around with a domestic terrorist known as Baked Alaska. It's still a pattern of behavior that continues today. It's not just been isolated to your sister, has it?
I have never inflicted violence on anyone.
Other than your sister.
Other than your sister,
no,
your father,
she hit me,
family,
and I defended myself in the way I thought was appropriate. She hit. Did you hear me say that she hit me? Did you hear that me say that she hit me?
The fact you thought it was appropriate at that time and the fact that you think it's still appropriate today leads me, and I think any reasonable person, to believe that you shouldn't be trusted to walk the streets.
It would have been appropriate if it wasn't my sister, because if some girl that's not my sister is hitting me, I'm going to defend myself. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
What if they throw a glass of water on you, Chaggot?
We're not talking about a glass of water.
Well, I am. But what if someone throws it? Because that's an act of assault.
So you're asking about a completely, just let me be clear.
I'm asking you, Chaggot, if you're assaulted by someone throwing water on you, what is your response to that? Proportionately.
So you're asking about a completely unrelated, disconnected situation that you're just curious about?
That is still classed as assault.
Okay. If someone throws water on you, I don't know, maybe throw water back on them. Or I guess if that's really assault, then you could call the police. If it was a woman, I would probably call the police. If it was a man, probably not.
So you wouldn't blind her?
For throwing water, that's not nearly as aggressive as hitting someone.
Let's calm this down and let's put it back.
It is kind of aggressive.
Let's put it back into context. Let's put it back into context.
You can't even say no to that. Okay.
Yeah. Let's put it back into context. So
why are you guys, I have a question. Why are you guys so upset with a man doing the exact same thing to women that they do to us?
Because
I'm just upset because we've invited a criminal on and a man who's completely unapologetic for his crimes.
I don't know, man.
It's not a crime to pepper spray someone who's attacking you.
So you were out on bail for these various offenses, the hit and run, the hitting the mailbox, and all this shit, right? So you had conditions on you. Your parents, out of the goodness of their heart, let you stay with them when you had no place to go, no form of income, anything like this. You're staying in their home for free, right? And you know what happens? You're listening to the TV too loud. Your sister, who actually is a productive member of society, I think was at school at this time, wanted to go to sleep because she was sick, right? So she comes downstairs 3-4 times, tells you to lower the TV volume. This is what your father says. And the 4th time she tells you, she raises her voice, and then you pepper spray her. That's what your father said.
And he completely omitted the fact that she had been not only hitting me that day, hitting me repeatedly in the recent past.
Can we just move on then?
Yeah, we'll move on to something else.
Aspect of his jail time. Are there any more crimes that he's going to be into jail for? Is that all of them?
Well, there's one instance that I think is interesting where they refused to bail out their son. And
what was the crime committed there, Chaggot?
When I did the bomb threat?
I don't
bomb
know
threat.
Yeah, you did the bomb threat.
Or are you talking about
the bomb threat?
Or are you talking about the quote unquote hit and run, which wasn't a hit?
No, it was when.
No, we're on a different crime now. We're on a different time.
It was when you were in protective custody and you were with the homosexuals and the pedophiles, and your parents felt that that was the safest place for you. And the quote, I think, is, we were concerned that he was spending all his time with pedophiles, but we felt it was the safest place for him. How did it feel to be in protective custody with the pedophiles and the homosexuals? And how was that relationship like? Did you get along with them? Did you hate them? How did that go?
Oh, it was fine. They were kind of just regular guys, not people you would ever guess would be sex offenders or anything like that. I don't have much to say about that.
Yeah. But you got along well with the black guys in jail. Did you get along well with pedophiles and homosexuals as well?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I mean, did I get along with, sorry, I was answering the first part of your question. They were just normal guys, and they were guys that you would never have thought did these types of crimes.
They were pedophiles, though. They weren't regular guys.
They came off as regular guys.
Other than that, they had molested children.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Tell us about, so the bomb threat, I think this one is probably the most innocent of the shit that you got wrote up for, to be honest. It sounds fucking bad. on paper. Tell us what happened. You were at the Crossroads program in Utah. You were at a tough point in your life, and you conducted this prank bomb threat. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I thought it would be funny for me to send from an anonymous number that there was a bomb, and I thought for some reason he would know it was me. I don't know. I thought it would be like an inside joke, and I said that there's a bomb in the building, and he took it seriously, of course, and said I'm texting the police, which my dad and I said, I thought, okay, he's obviously joking back with me because you can't text cops. And my dad said, oh, that's such black and white thinking, like autistic thinking. But where's the lie? You can't text cops. That's not a thing. So,
okay.
Where's the lie? That was not the stupid part of the entire thought process. There were many decisions and thought processes that were completely asinine and stupid. That was not one of them. You can't text cops.
Right. But you can't also call in bomb threats on places, right?
That's why I said there were many asinine parts of that thought process. But the thought that, oh, well, you can't text cops was completely accurate. Do you think the government would be efficient enough to what is the word I'm looking for? To what is the word I'm looking for? Implement a texting system for the police? Yeah, right. Like the government's that efficient. Give me a break.
Right. So then it's interesting what happens with that bomb threat, because it looked like you were going to be able to plead it down to a misdemeanor. But the day before the trial, do you remember what happens? It's the Boston bombing happens. So then your lawyer is like, holy, I don't, we're. You want to explain how it all ended up working out and all that shit?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No.
It was what it was. I think you got like it was like a 2-month something or other, and you just had to keep out of trouble. You did end up getting out of that one fairly scot-free. That one, I honestly, I think that a lot of edgy or people would do a bomb thing like that, a bomb threat. Does it make it right? No. That's one that I think it's easier for me to understand. The stuff we were talking about earlier with your sister, I struggle to understand. I'm going to move on from it because I'm trying to maintain some level of rapport at this point.
I actually don't want to move on from that. I actually want to go back to that.
Okay.
The bottom line here is that she aggressed repeatedly against me, and I didn't retaliate, but it kept happening. So I retaliated in the way that women retaliate when they can't hit men. We are in a situation in our society, obviously, where we can't hit women no matter what. So I retaliated in the way, since we can't hit women, that they retaliate when they can't hit men. And anyone telling me that this is unfair or wrong for any reason other than that it was my sister, let's just say it was some other girl, because I feel like you'd have the exact same take on it if it was some other girl. I admit that it was up because it was my sister. I admit that it was up because it was my sister, and I shouldn't have taken it that seriously and to that level or been that aggressive to my own family.
Yeah.
Because, your family at the end of the day love you, and they're not the same as someone outside your family, right? But let's say it was some girl outside my family, because I feel like you'd have the exact same take. How in the only way for you to tell me that would be wrong is to have a completely anti-male position, which is that men aren't allowed to defend themselves, women are.
Because it's not a reasonable response. It's not.
To someone hitting you over and over again? So what is?
I mean, honestly,
hitting the back?
It's somebody a lot weaker than you, smaller than you.
That's not true. She was a softball. You don't know that. She was a softball pitcher, and I was a overweight autistic boy.
You were 250 pounds.
Right, exactly. I was 250 pounds with
You were
zero
200
muscle on my body.
Bro, you could have laid on her and the situation would have been over. She couldn't have.
And you think that that would have been, oh yeah, laid on my
Better.
sister, and you think that would have been acceptable?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It was your
not.
own household. It's your own household. Are you going to be arrested for that? No.
I am not. I should not
get arrested. It's your own sister, bro.
Yes, and the only reason I'm saying it was wrong is because it was my sister, but I'm saying let's say it was some other girl.
You are so developmentally stunted and disabled that you never had rough housing with your sisters or your other family members or understood how to handle a physical confrontation. It's the same thing with that pussy bitch baked Alaska who immediately pepper sprays everyone because he's too scared to do anything physically. And if you had physical altercations in your life, you might have been able to handle this better, but you are a pussy bitch.
You know, it's the bottom line is it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter.
It was
the bottom line is it doesn't really matter. Let's say it was a girl other than my own family member, right? Because I admit that it was wrong since it was my sister. But let's say it was a girl outside my family. The bottom line is the way I handled it isn't nearly as relevant as the fact that she aggressed against me. And if she didn't want anything bad to happen to her, she shouldn't have aggressed against me.
Spank her on the ass and tell her to behave. You don't need to fucking pepper spray her in the
And is that what women do when men hit them?
Like for the guy
Yeah, but you're not a woman, Chaggot, are you?
What?
Chaggot, you're not a woman.
You seem to be acting like a woman.
We are constrained more than women are in this society. Men are completely constrained legally, morally, in every way, more than any woman is.
But you feel that men are superior to women, right?
I didn't say that.
I mean,
Chaggot,
physically, they certainly are.
Is Surfer gone?
He's gone. He's gone. But
to summarize Surfer's take there.
Men are far more constrained than women are in this society. And the only way that you are taking this position is you're using a very primitive lizard brain, like, oh, women weak, men strong, men not do bad to women because women weak.
Yes.
And I'm using and I'm using a more modern, logical.
It's called the right thing. It's timeless for all time. What's right and what's wrong.
Except we don't live in a society. We don't live in a society that respects the right thing in any way. As I'm sure
not
you
with
can
people
agree.
like you in it, Chaggot.
No, we don't live in a culture or a society that respects the right thing in any way. In fact, it's the exact
especially
inverse.
with people like you living in it.
No, not especially with people like me. I'm calling for justice for men. That's not the wrong thing.
So you're a men's rights activist now, are you?
Well, I don't disagree with anything is there anything to disagree with that the MRAs say? I don't really see anything to disagree with.
So, I mean, just striking a 14-year-old girl as a 20-year-old man, is that all right?
Well, the only reason that I regret it is because it was my sister, and I shouldn't.
I mean, you don't seem to regret it because you want to revise.
I've already said like
you?
6 times that I.
No,
do.
you want to revise the book to make it seem as though you were provoked into doing such a thing.
But I was because me pepper spraying her for no reason is not the same as someone hitting you repeatedly and then you finally deciding to defend yourself.
If you're
just quickly, I want to know the nature of these attacks, just for the public record. What was she doing to you, Chaggot?
She was hitting me repeatedly. It had gone on for a few weeks.
How?
And where?
It doesn't matter where.
It
on my body.
It does.
On my
It
body.
does.
No, it doesn't. On my body. It's not okay no matter what.
What was the force of these hits? These strikes upon your person? What were the force?
That doesn't matter either. It was as hard as she could. As hard as she could.
As a 14-year-old girl.
As a softball pitcher, 14. It doesn't matter how old she was. It's not right. And yeah, she was pretty developed at that point. She's a softball pitcher, not just a player, a pitcher, which means that she has incredible arm strength. I was an obese, autistic 21-year-old. I don't think.
So you striking her would probably have knocked her out. So you chose the pepper spray.
But men can't hit women, can they?
But your sister, I mean, you seem to think that's off limits anyway. That's why you pepper sprayed her, right?
Men, I seem
It's
to
not a
think
trick
that's what?
question,
I
Chaggot.
seem to
I'm
think that's
asking you
what?
genuinely.
I seem to think that's what?
You pepper sprayed her, didn't you?
You
in
said
the
I
eyes?
seem to think that's something. What?
Yeah, because it's your family. You said repeatedly that because it was your family, it was all right to do such
That's
things.
the exact opposite of what I said. Do you want to quote what I actually said?
How
What did
are
you actually
the
say,
victim?
Chaggot?
PPP, can you tell him what I actually said? Because he just deliberately misquoted me.
I'll be
I'm just not
honest,
believing
man.
your lies and your
I-
perceived
I-
victimhood in every situation.
Can you tell him what I honestly
Yeah.
said? Because he just deliberately misquoted me.
Yeah, no.
Oh, look,
I
I'm just the
would-
impartial moderator listening to
No,
you.
you're not being impartial at all. You're deliberately misquoting me.
I would tell him what you said, except for the fact that this is honest. Like, I have zoned out of what was happening because I am actually so fucking furious.
You know what I said. You know what I said.
actually
You know what I said.
I
Well, look,
actually
Chaggot,
don't.
Chaggot,
God.
let's go to the current now. You're not.
No. We're not moving on from this. Quote what I
Okay.
actually said. Don't lie.
What did you say then, Chaggot?
You know what I
you
said. No,
I
you
thought
know what
you
I said.
actually
I don't have to tell.
All right,
I already
let's
said
move
it
into the
multiple
current year,
times.
You
shall
are
we? Let's move
such
into the
you are
current year,
such a
Chaggot.
piece of slime.
Let's
I already
move
said it
into
multiple
your
times.
association.
You don't have to quote what I don't have to quote it
Chaggot,
again.
let's move into your association.
No,
with
we're not
AFPAC.
moving on at all until
have
you
a
quote me
$10,000
accurately.
ticket to
Quote what I
AFPAC, don't you?
actually said, or
You're
I'm
aligned
gone.
to
I'm
domestic
leaving.
terrorists. We've been
Quote
told
what I
not
said.
to cover the AFPAC.
Quote what I
or your
actually
association
said.
with fake
Quote me
tobacco, haven't we?
accurately.
We've
Quote
not
me
been told not to
accurately.
cover
Quote
that
me
you are
accurately.
a $10,000 member of this AFPAC. Is that correct?
Quote me accurately. Quote me
No,
accurately.
that
or
is
I'm
a quote
leaving.
accurate. That is an accurate
Quote me
isn't it?
accurately about
You've
what I
got
said about hitting my
$10,000
family, or I'm leaving.
What did you say about hitting your family then?
You know, because I said it 6 times.
I mean, you said that you pepper sprayed your sister as a 20-year-old man.
And
she
did
was
I say
14
that that was all right?
You
Yeah,
said
you justified it by saying that you wanted a revision of the book to make it seem as though she was hitting you first.
Quote me
And that was
accurately,
not
or I'm
your-
leaving. I'm leaving
Well,
if
that
you
is
don't quote me
the
accurately.
accurate quote.
No,
That is
you are
accurate.
lying, and PPP knows that you're
You
lying.
said-
So tell him what
you
I said.
said-
I'm just the
you
impartial
said-
moderator, Jack.
you said she was a softball pitcher, that when she was hitting you, she had tremendous arm strength, right? And because of that, you felt the response was that you should pepper spray her because you feel like as a man in this society, you can't hit a woman. That's what your position
Quote what
is,
I
right?
said about whether it's all right because she's my family. Quote what I said on that.
Well, I don't know. I think you said that it's not okay, but it would have been if it was not your family member, right?
Okay, so is that not the exact opposite of impartial moderator just said?
I have no fucking clue, really.
Well, impartial moderator
I-
just said that I said it would be okay because she was my family. That's the exact opposite of what you just said.
All right, Chaggot, we shall retract that and we'll define that into the record. The public know. The public are aware of that.
No, so quote me accurately. Quote me accurately.
But everybody heard what you said.
Yeah.
So he should be
Heard
quoting
what
me
you said.
accurately. Quote me accurately.
We retract that claim that
Quote
you
me
said that
accurately.
It would be
And
okay
say
if
the
it was
real
your
thing.
sister,
Quote me
and
accurately.
Instead it would be better if it was a strange instead of your own
No,
family.
quote me accurately or I'm leaving. Quote me accurately or I'm leaving.
Is this one of those temper tantrums Derek wrote about in his book?
No,
Is
it's
that what
you're
this is?
lying and I'm calling you
'Cause-
out on it.
Because you're
Quote me
acting like a
accurately.
child. No, I'm actually
Quote me
holding you
accurately.
accountable.
I want
Repeat it,
impartial
repeat it,
moderator
I'll-
to quote me
Chaggot,
accurately.
Chaggot. Repeat it and I will quote it verbatim as you quote it.
I already said it 6 times. I'm not repeating it again. You heard it.
and the people have heard that also.
Not only did you hear it, but the entire chat heard it as well. Quote me accurately.
Fantastic. That's been absolutely settled. Shall we move
Quote
into
me
the
accurately.
current
No,
year,
quote me accurately. I want you to repeat what you said because you already lied about what I said. So now you can repeat the truth that I said.
I'm still not aware of what the truth is, Chaggot, because
All
you're
right,
quite frantic.
PPP. I don't know what you want to be called. Do you want to tell him what I said so he can quote me accurately?
Like I would tell him, and I gotta be honest with you right now, bro. I actually genuinely am really heated about the stuff you've been saying. I did not remember what in fact we're even talking about on this.
But
That's
you
so
did.
contentious.
You just said it. You just said it a minute ago.
I've tried my best to fucking rephrase what you've said. I don't
You
know
just said it a
verbatim
minute
what
ago.
you said.
You just said it a minute ago. So repeat it for him so he can accurately quote me.
What the like? Are you
You
in
just
the head?
said it.
I guess you are.
You just said it a minute ago. So repeat it so he can accurately quote me to fix the lie he told before.
who gives a if he lied or not? I mean, you beat.
I do, because he's supposed to be an impartial moderator.
Look, Chaggot, the lie has been recognized as such. It has been retracted.
So quote me accurately. Quote me accurately.
I can't remember the quote, to be honest.
Daka, help him out. Help him out.
I'm high, Chaggot.
Help. I said it multiple times. Daka, help him out.
I cannot reproduce the quote.
You just said it a minute ago.
Did I? What did I say? What?
You just said it a minute ago. Look in the chat, because they know.
All right, chat.
All right, chat. This is one for chat.
Chat, tell me what he said. What did he say? Because I'll repeat it, and then we'll move on from this.
So you repeat it, PPP, if that's your name.
Yeah.
And then I will quote it from your repeating.
Yep.
Is anyone in chat saying, like, I can't see it? If you're looking at chat, Chaggot, I don't know, bro.
I'll do my best to quote Chaggot, okay? Bear in mind, this is just going off what I've heard. You pepper sprayed your sister. You were 20 years old. She was 40. She was a good softball pitcher. She struck you multiple times. You were provoked to the point where you pepper sprayed your sister. You don't think that's right. It might have been right if it was a stranger, because you'd be acting in self-defense. Have I got any of that wrong, Chaggot?
Yes, and that is the opposite of what you just quoted me before.
Okay,
right.
Has that been settled, Chaggot?
Yeah, I said that it was wrong.
Fantastic.
Right.
I said that it was wrong because it was my family.
Okay, Chaggot. Let's move into your current year antics, shall we? There's a $10,000 ticket that you have for AFPAC.
No, I was just going to say the quote. Like, I remember yesterday in the call when he said that maybe he wishes it wasn't his sister he pepper sprayed. And in fact, he wished he had pepper sprayed other women because of his gripes about women. And I'm just curious, what are these gripes about women that are so extreme that he feels that he should be able to pepper spray?
Well, they've attacked him, Surfer.
Like,
they've attacked
his sister.
Right.
It's pretty abhorrent. It's pretty behavior to pepper spray women on the street.
But it's the only method he can use. Surfer, it's the only method that Chaggot can use.
It is the only method.
He's persecuted as a man in society.
Of course, it's the only method. Is a man allowed to hit a woman back? Yes or no?
I mean, you're allowed to defend yourself. The law is
not at all. Not at all. Is a man allowed to hit a woman back?
As long as you use proportional force. I'm just telling you. I mean, if you restrained,
you'll go to jail.
Okay, you'll go to jail for pepper spraying her as well, bro.
No, actually, you will not. That's legal, and the only reason BA went to jail. The only reason BA went to jail one time he pepper sprayed somebody is because he was working as a security guard, and because he was a security guard, that was illegal. But it's not illegal to pepper spray people in self-defense. It's not.
Now, we're not going to talk about base Alaska, obviously, because it's outside of the parameters of this discussion, isn't it, Chaggot?
It's not a man.
But we'll talk about the RV.
I can't hear two people
last year on the RV, didn't you,
restrain them without pepper spraying.
See, what you guys are going by is basically a primitive lizard brain. Women weak, men strong, men no hit women, bad hit women. I'm going by a logical assessment of today's society and the power women have been given in society. And I'm reacting to that in a logical, rational way.
Understood. That's absolutely understood, Chaggot.
Right.
You spent all of last year on an RV, didn't you? We're not going to name the person that's
2 weeks
in jail and in legal trouble. You spent 2 weeks.
It was
because you bailed early, didn't you, Chaggot?
Actually,
you bailed early.
It was like a weekend. It was like 3 days.
Now, why did you bail early, Chaggot?
I bailed because it was...
Now, tell the truth here.
I bailed because it was not at all what was advertised. I thought that it would be a luxurious, like, leisurely...
In an RV with baked Alaska and only use me blades. You thought that would be a luxurious vacation.
Say that person's name.
Yeah, BA and only use me blades. You thought that would be a luxurious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was told. I thought first of all, I thought it would be like a.
So
really
only use me blades. Just quickly, this is a man whose legs are rotting, who was pissing and defecating himself in your presence and all over the furniture. do you think that would be a luxurious vacation there, Chaggot?
That's not what I was advertised.
Did you see any of the previous RVs where Blade pissed and shit himself?
No.
And his legs are rotting.
So you did zero research on the people that you would be going on this RV with and the nature of RV trips and IP2 in general. But you still decided to entrust your life into the hands of these people who then proceeded to torture you
and that's what happened, wasn't it? You were tortured and hazed, weren't you, Chaggot? And it was pretty disgraceful what they did.
Orchard, I would just say annoyed. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you were annoyed.
Yeah.
What made you annoyed?
I was annoyed. You could even wait.
I can hear you perfectly. We can all hear you, Chaggot.
It's not working on the microphone that it's supposed to.
Okay, give it a sec.
I would say I was harassed. I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
It was just obnoxious, and it was not what was advertised. And I realized no amount. And then they told me that I could make money from driving.
Sure.
And I decided that no amount of money. Well, they said, oh no, you can't make money from driving. You have to do streaming, which is dicey whether that actually makes any money or not. And I decided no amount of money is worth being like basically, I guess you could say torture, like stream for 2 weeks. I just decided it wasn't worth it. And I'm not big on gross out humor, like people farting, shitting, peeing. I don't think that stuff is funny at all. And I don't want to be around it. So.
Sure. So you went on the RV, presumably as a political act, wasn't it? It was to fly Trump flags. I remember that was the pretense of the RV, wasn't it? That was the purpose of it.
No, I was told that it would be a luxurious, leisurely trip around the country where I would.
So when you saw them busting out Trump flags and stuff like that, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that they're, right wingers.
Well, I mean, my question is, do you think that helped Trump at all?
To drive an RV with Trump flags?
And go around terrorizing people, pepper spraying them with your content spray and attacking them.
Well,
harassing them and committing crimes. I know you didn't commit crimes on that RV.
BA never pepper sprayed anybody without them aggressing against him. Now, it's questionable whether he actually, was starting shit or not, but he never just went up to people and pepper sprayed them.
I mean, let's live in reality. He was antagonizing people for content. Like, let's live in the real world for a minute. I mean, that's what was going on.
I was with him.
You said though that you're not a big fan of like toilet humor and piss and shit in this, but I read in your book that you used to piss out your college window off the balcony onto your neighbor's barbecue, and that you used to like piss in the windowsill at home. So how do you reconcile those two things? I just find that kind of humorous, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I just never did it as a joke. I just love pissing outside. I mean, it's so fun. You don't have to aim. You connect with nature in that moment, like I'm not a very big outdoorsy guy, but in that moment when I'm pissing outside, I am connecting with nature. It's just so fun. You get to just not have to aim for the toilet bowl, just piss wherever you want. And it's also fun to piss through a screen. Have you ever pissed through a screen? It's pretty cool.
This is what I was about to ask you. Why don't you remove the screen when you take a piss?
Because it's really fun to piss. Because it's really cool to piss through a screen. It just goes right through.
Okay. I'm just curious, like, what the, but then Blade pissing and shitting was too much for you. But you think that so basically.
Because I don't piss and shit indoors. I don't piss and shit indoors.
Because that would be too animalistic, wouldn't it, to actually use a toilet?
I meant indoors other than a toilet.
Well, you used to piss in the garage as well, right? Like in the corner of the garage?
Did I? Well, is the garage really indoors, or that's more outdoors, isn't it?
You did the RV for 2 weeks, Chaggot, yeah? Do you regret that?
No, it was actually like 3 days.
3 days, right? Do you regret that?
Yeah, it was a waste of time. It was just a big hassle, and I had to spend a lot of money on an airline ticket to get out of there.
Sure. And since then, you've been involved in this AFPAC, haven't you? Now, there's a $10,000 ticket or something you have.
We agreed that we weren't going to talk about that. You remember?
Well, can you just tell everyone why you won't talk about the $10,000 ticket you have to AFPAC?
I don't have that.
Now, we were told that you do. You have like some sort of membership. You've paid a substantial sum of money to go to AFPAC.
No, and we agreed that we weren't going to talk about this. Move on. Or
why is that off the table?
Move on. We already agreed beforehand what we were going to talk about.
But it's a political event you're attending.
Move on or I'm leaving.
Why is that?
Move on or I'm leaving.
You're
not sticking to the agreement. You're not sticking to the agreement.
Why is it in contention to talk about AFPAC and your
We agree. Why did we agree on it?
Is it because it's a legal issue?
I want to know why it's in contention that we can't talk about AFPAC.
It's a legal issue, right? Why we can't talk about it?
Why is it a legal issue, Chaggot? I don't understand.
That's what it is.
We agreed that we would not talk about it. Are you a man that sticks to your word?
No, I'm absolutely not. Why aren't we allowed to talk about AFPAC, Chaggot?
So what did you mean when you said, okay, we won't talk about that?
I meant I was lying to you because this is the real nub of the issue. Why aren't you being public with your disclosure on this attendance of a very public political event?
If you were lying, then I'm not going to respect your question asking me now because you lied to me.
Well, you've lied this entire time.
You've been lying the entire time, Chaggot.
No, I haven't. I haven't lied
now
once.
we're asking you about
I haven't lied once.
Of AFPAC, and you're being incredibly evasive. One wonders why.
I'll ask you a simple question. Do you think that Nick Fuentes would approve of you pepper spraying your sister? Do you think he would approve of you pissing out the window? Do you think he would approve of you being a black supremacist at one point? I mean, you wrote a song saying that you would never get with a white girl, only black girls. Does that sound like the ideal America First candidate?
No, I used to be a degenerate. I was a very, very.
But you still are, aren't you? You still are.
No, I'm not.
Well, how have you changed?
I'm not. I don't really want to. Let's just say I've matured. I've matured, I would say.
Do you think that's an extensive, detailed response to that question?
No, because this is stuff that we agreed we weren't going to talk about.
I just failed to understand why we can't talk about AFPAC and your attendance of it.
It doesn't really matter why. The fact is we agreed on it, and that's what matters.
Well, can't we talk about your beliefs as an America Firster? Is that off the question as well? Can't we talk about your
I think we agreed that we weren't going to talk about... We agreed that we weren't going to talk politics. We were going to talk my book and my experiences.
We've definitely talked about your book and your experiences.
Extensively. And now we're talking about your current experiences and your upcoming experiences.
Okay, well, you didn't talk that much about my book. How far did you get in my book?
I read the whole book. It ends with your arrest for possession of methamphetamine, and then it's shortly after that. I mean, I can tell you a ton of stories from your book about you trying to get laid and shit like this. I could tell you those stories. I just don't know how relevant it is to the public interest. I think. And
how relevant is this to your future, Chaggot, and your attendance of AFPAC, the America First Conference?
I don't know what you're talking about because that's something we agreed that we weren't going to talk about.
I mean, I'll ask this. I mean, and I asked you this last night, but I think people deserve to know. Do you believe what Patrick Casey says about AFPAC? That it's like a fed honeypot, that it's compromised?
I'm not going to get into infighting or gossiping or anything like that.
I mean, is that gossiping? I mean, that's just a simple question about whether or not you believe the statements of a figure who you would say is a respectable political figure, right? Patrick Casey.
I'm not going to get into infighting and gossip. I find it utterly uninteresting and honestly boring. I care about the actual substance.
You understand, though, that this comes across like you have something to hide, that AFPAC has something to hide, that America First has something to hide, right? That you're not able to discuss this for legal reasons.
No, it comes across as me not wanting to say anything that is going to get me investigated or whatever, and we agreed.
Why would you expressing your opinion on AFPAC get you investigated? I don't understand.
Because
you're attending the event, aren't you?
We have Joe Biden as president.
You're attending the event, so why would it get you investigated?
I didn't say I'm
opinion?
attending. I didn't say I'm attending the event. We agreed we weren't going to discuss the event. So, move on.
Well, you said you wouldn't go, right?
I'm not discussing. I'm not discussing.
You're saying you won't be there, right?
I'm not discussing AFPAC. Move on, or I'm leaving. Move
so
on.
What do you know? Chaggot, what do you know about AFPAC that stopped you attending?
I'm not discussing AFPAC. Move on, or I'm leaving.
So
will you discuss Nick Fuentes? Will you discuss Nick Fuentes and his bank account being frozen by the FBI?
No, I don't.
Him being placed on a no-fly list.
Absolutely, I don't want to discuss that. And we agreed that we weren't going to discuss stuff like that before I came on.
Do you not see how this seems incredibly evasive?
No, we agreed that we weren't going to discuss this before I came on. Do you not see how it seems incredibly immoral that you're lying to me about what we agreed on?
Well, is it less or more immoral to pepper spray your own sister or to ask you questions?
And I've said that what did I say about pepper spraying my own sister?
You said you felt that it was justified.
Nope. What did I say about it?
Because she attacked you and she had a softball player arm or something.
Nope. Yeah. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. What did I say?
That is the truth.
That is the truth. You feel like
tell the truth about what I said since it was my own family.
You make yourself the victim about everything in your life. Do you know the reality of it is, buddy, and I'm glad for it, you had your father pay for you to have a vasectomy so you can't have children. Thank God, because any children you raised would be completely and would be
tell me about what I said about pepper spraying my sister. Tell the truth about what I said about pepper spraying my sister.
Do you feel that you're a genetic waste of space? Is that why you had the vasectomy?
Tell the truth about what I said about pepper spraying my sister.
Well, tell the truth about your vasectomy.
No, we'll get to that. We can get to that after you tell the truth about what I said about pepper spraying my sister.
We'll get to that.
You misquoted me again, and we're not moving on. We're not moving on until you tell the truth about what I said.
We'll get to that when you answer yes or no. Are you going?
No, I asked first.
That doesn't mean
well,
shit.
Actually, I asked first, and you didn't answer the question. You've been refusing
because it was a lie question based on something I didn't say. Tell the truth about what I actually said about pepper spraying my own family.
Or else
what did I say?
Because you're not.
What did I say?
Stay on this call for as long as
what did I say?
I mean,
what did I say?
You keep threatening that you're going to leave, but you don't because you secretly enjoy the attention, don't you, Chag?
Because I want to stand up for the truth. Tell me what I actually said about pepper spraying my sister.
Tell us about how you enjoy being the victim, because I've seen videos saying you love to be a victim, right?
Tell me.
You love being victimized.
Tell them what I actually said about pepper spraying my sister.
Just like the
tell them what I said about pepper spraying my sister.
Fighting against, right? Just like the SJW snowflakes you fight against, you're a victim, and you love to be a victim, and you're a little bitch. And you
say what I said. I'm a bitch. That's why I'm lying about what I said about pepper spraying my sister. Tell the truth.
Yeah, that's why you're a bitch. That's why you're a bitch, because you're lying.
But I'm not the one lying about what I said about pepper spraying my sister.
Your father contradicts your own testimony. Your father is a respected member of the business community. Why should we believe you, an unproductive leech with a criminal record, over your own
But you're lying about what I said, so tell me what I actually said.
No, but why did your father not justify your behavior if you're righteous? You were in the right to pepper spray.
It doesn't. What matters is you are misquoting me. You are misquoting me. So tell me what I actually said. And I'm not you anyway. I'm talking to impartial moderator. I'm not talking to you, dude. I'm talking to the other guy.
Well, no one.
Okay. As the impartial moderator, I'm hearing you out here. What do you want to say, Chaggot?
Tell me, quote what I actually said, and I know you know it.
Look,
you heard it.
I couldn't give a about what you're saying. I'm not even listening to you. You're a criminal. You're a waste of scum.
If you don't care about what I'm saying, why are you lying about it?
Peon. You really are a waste.
If you don't care about what I'm saying, why are you lying about it?
Such a small opinion of you, Chaggot. I mean, I had a somewhat higher opinion of you.
Then why are you lying about it?
I thought you were victimized by Baked Alaska, a domestic terrorist. I thought you'd fell into all of these long and awful pitfalls. But it just seems that you yourself are a wrong-un. You yourself are absolutely a disgusting human being. You've shown no remorse for your actions. You're actually.
Why are you lying about what I said?
Stories in books,
why are you lying about what I said?
Audaciously boasting about your crimes. You've
shown
no
truth
remorse.
About what I said.
You are an awful person, Chaggot.
Why are you lying about what I said? Why are you lying about what I said?
Preach it, Brother Adam.
Why are you lying about what I said?
Chaggot, do you understand that you're going to go to hell for what you've done?
Why are you impartial moderator?
You are going to go to hell.
Why are you lying about what I said?
You know, you're going to burn in hell for all
impartial moderator. I'm not talking to you.
You'll have no legacy on this earth.
I'm talking to impartial moderator.
Talking to me or not.
I'm talking to impartial moderator. Why are you lying about what I said? You don't care. If you don't care, why are you misquoting me?
You will burn in the fires of hell.
Why are you lying about what I said?
Even if he was, it doesn't justify your behavior.
And what did I say about my behavior? Tell the truth.
You said it was amazing. You said that you were the victim. That
nope, tell the truth.
Made you the victim because
nope.
you're a man.
Tell the truth. Look, tell the truth about what I said about pepper spraying my own family member.
All three of us in this call are men.
Tell the truth about what I said about pepper spraying my own family member.
No, I don't give a about that. I give a about your victim complex and the idea that people like you should be allowed to continue in society.
We're not moving on until you tell the truth about what I said.
Chaggot, do you think you belong in jail?
We're not moving on until you tell the truth about what I said.
Chaggot, do you think you deserve to rot in jail?
We're not moving on.
Do you think that because of your probable crimes that you deserve to rot in jail?
We're not moving on until you tell the truth about what I said. You have to quote me accurately.
Chaggot, how long do you think you've got left in free society to move around?
You have to quote me accurately.
How long do you think you've got left?
Tell the truth about what I said.
18 months? Chaggot, how many drugs do you take on a daily basis?
Tell the truth about what I said. Tell the truth about what I said.
When was the last crime that you committed and how old was the victim? Chaggot.
I'm done speaking until you.
How many people do you intend to mow down with your car, as you've got previous for such things? Chaggot, how many RVs are you going to appear upon where you're going to sully the name of a political party and be harassed and possibly anally sodomized by Baked Alaska? That's the allegation. Chaggot, how long do you continue to be evasive on the AFPAC question and not talk about your ties to Baked Alaska, domestic terrorist, Nick Fuentes, a man that's been investigated by the FBI, put on a no-fly list, and had his bank account frozen?
Oh, and by the way,
can you get any answers to these questions, Chaggot?
We're not moving on until you quote me accurately, and I want everyone watching to see that these people are lying about what I said.
If we're not moving on, I'd like to point out that you're a burden to society. You're a burden to your family. You're going to be a burden to your sister and your father and your mother until the day they all die. And when they die, all of them, and you're all alone, you will squander what little inheritance you have because you are a who is unable to have responsibility or be accountable for anything. That's who you are. That is your life.
Yeah.
And that is what
I'm the one who I live in Los Angeles.
In the interest of fair play here,
I bet you live in LA.
I live in Los Angeles with a beautiful girlfriend, a nice car, and a nice apartment. You live in your mom's basement in who knows where in flyover country.
That's not the case. That's not.
You live in flyover country. I'm in Los Angeles where it's 75 degrees. I have a beautiful girl. I have a nice car, a nice apartment.
Dime.
You have no. It's all me. It's all me. They don't support me anymore. No, they don't support me anymore. My parents don't support me anymore.
What do you do for a living? Because you've had 50 jobs and you're fired from every one of them. So I'm surprised to see you could keep a job, you bum.
My parents don't support me anymore. I live in Los Angeles with a beautiful girlfriend and a beautiful car. And
let's not go that far. She's not that attractive. Look, in the interest of fair play, I will say that contrary to what PPP's been saying, I think your parents have actually done quite a good job with you, as best as they probably can.
I'm sorry, but we're not moving on. We're not moving on until you quote me accurately. We're not moving on. We're still not moving on until you quote me accurately. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but you have to quote me accurately before we're moving on. We're just not going to move on until you quote me accurately. You have to tell the truth about what I said. You can't lie about what I said. It's not fair.
You're a burden upon her.
We just can't move on until you tell the truth about what I said. We can't move on until you quote me accurately.
Everybody that knows you, I assume.
We can't move on until you quote me accurately. You have to say what I actually said. You have to say what I actually said before we
I
move
remember
on.
when you said
We're
that
not moving
pedophiles
on.
We're normal guys. I remember when you said pedophiles were normal guys.
We're not
in this
moving on.
conversation.
We can get to that after you quote me accurately, but we're not moving on until you tell me what I actually said about pepper spraying my own sister.
I mean, I don't give a if we move
No,
on or
not you. Not you.
Well, I will also add
impartial
to that.
moderator.
I don't give a if we move on or not, Chaggot. I've had enough of talking to you. You're a criminal, and I think
We are
that
not
you
moving.
shouldn't
Well, we're
belong
not moving on
in
until you
civilized society.
quote me accurately.
You yourself.
Until you if you
are
have to
a peon.
lie,
You are.
if you have to
You are a
lie
waste
about what
of
I said,
space.
then you've obviously
You
lost
are a
every
burden
debate.
and a shame upon
You're
all
a
of your
liar.
family members.
You're a liar, bro.
And your
You just
friends.
lied about everything. You lied about what we were talking about. You lied about my quotes. You lied about everything. You can't defend yourself without lying.
Your whole life is a lie.
Your
Everything
whole life
about
is a
you
lie,
is a
Chaggot.
fraud.
Not at all. Nothing in my life is a lie. I'm the most brutally honest person you might ever meet.
Okay, well, let's be brutally honest about your association with domestic terrorist baked Alaska. Go.
Let's
Tell
be
us.
no. We will move on when you
Come
quote
on.
me accurately.
Come
Quote
on,
me
tell us
accurately.
about how-
Quote me
No,
accurately.
The reality
Quote me
is-
accurately.
The reality is all you're saying is quote me accurately, as we continually dab on you with reality that you were associated
Because
with
we're not
domestic
moving
terrorism.
on until you quote me accurately.
Well, I don't give a fuck. I'll just keep saying what I want to say, and you'll continue to say.
I mean, we're getting a few licks in here, Chaggot. You're letting us just run all over you. It's amazing.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking
literally-
to the impartial moderator who
I don't
misquoted me.
give a.
Well, I'm
You
going
you
to
quote me accurately about what I said about my own family.
You
I mean,
yourself
you're getting-
have been closely aligned to a domestic terrorist known as Baked Alaska. You were
No,
Baked
that's
Alaska's
not
best
true.
friend. Baked Alaska went into Nancy
We're not moving
Pelosi's
on
office,
until you quote me accurately.
committed
We're not
acts of
moving on
insurrection and
until you
domestic
quote me
terrorism.
accurately. We're not moving on until
You
you
did
quote me
multiple
accurately.
streams
You
with
have to
Baked
quote me
Alaska,
accurately about what I said
where you
about
were
pepper spraying my
evicted
own
from
family.
various places
You
by
have
the
to quote
police.
me
People were
accurately
threatening
about
to
what I
call the
said about
police
pepper
because of where
spraying my
you
own
were
family.
not
You
wearing
have to
masks
quote me
and not
accurately.
abiding by
You have to quote me
coronavirus laws.
accurately. You have
You
to
were alongside
revise
Baked
what you
Alaska for a
said
long period
about
of time.
me pepper
Your
spraying my own
association and
family. You
friendship
need
with
to
Baked
revise
Alaska.
what I
Your
said because
association
you
and
lied
friendship
about
with
what I
Baked
said.
Alaska, domestic
You lied
terrorist,
about what I said, and so you need
caused
to
you to be
revise
so
that and
evasive
quote
in
me
these
accurately.
questions.
You need to
Chaggot.
quote me accurately about what I said about pepper spraying my own
Why don't you
sister.
tell him that?
I mean, you said that you enjoyed it.
Nope. You need to quote me accurately or we're not moving on. And I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to impartial moderator.
I don't give a who you're talking to. You're acting like a child. You're supposed to be
No,
a
I'm not.
grown-ass
I'm
man.
asking you to tell the truth. That's not acting like a child. Asking you to
all
tell the
you're-
truth is
all-
not acting like a child.
Well,
All you're doing-
I'll keep telling the truth. Your association with Baked Alaska.
No, you need to quote me
committed
accurately
acts
about
of
what I
sedition
said
and
about pepper
insurrection
spraying my own
in Nancy
family.
Pelosi's
You need to
office in
quote
the Capitol
what I
building.
actually said
Your
about
association
pepper
with that
spraying
man
my own family. And you
is
need to tell the truth about what I
worthy of
actually
concern,
said.
isn't it, Chaggot?
You need
It's
to
worthy
tell
of
the
great
truth.
concern.
You need
I
to
want
tell
to
the
know
truth
just how
about what I
far in all of your
actually said
communications
about pepper
go
spraying my own
with
family.
Baked Alaska.
You lied about what I said, and you need to tell the truth about me, what I said about pepper spraying my own
So
family.
Tim GNA is a domestic
You need to tell the
terrorist,
truth about what I
and you
said
were his
about
friend
pepper
for a
spraying my
while,
own
and you
family.
appeared in
You
various
need to tell the
streams with
truth about
Tim
what I said
GNA
about
Baked
pepper
Alaska,
spraying my
didn't you
own
do?
family. You need to tell the truth about what I said about pepper spraying my own family.
What do you think your father would think of this conversation? Do you think
What do you think
He
your
would
wonderful
realize that you're
mother,
lying
senator,
about what I
would
said,
think
and
of
so you
this
need to fix
conversation?
that record and tell the
Do
truth
you
about
think-
what I said.
Your
Do you
wonderful
think he'd
mother,
be a
state
good
senator.
representative?
What do you think
You
she
need
would
to
think
tell
of
the
this?
truth about what I said about pepper spraying my own family. Quote me accurately.
Are you?
He is clearly.
Quote me accurately. Quote me accurately. What did I actually say about pepper spraying my own family?
It's literally like you're a baby that shit his pants and is crying.
Asking
like
you
a
to tell the truth?
Chaggot, have
Asking
you
you to
shit
tell
your
the
pants,
truth?
Chaggot? Chaggot, have
Asking you to
shit
tell
your
the
pants?
truth?
Have you shit
Asking
your
you to
pants?
tell the truth?
Did you shit
Quote
your
me
pants,
accurately.
Chaggot?
Quote
Have
me
you shit your
accurately.
pants?
Have you shit
Quote me
your pants?
accurately or I'm leaving.
Did you shit your pants, Chaggot?
Have you shit your pants like the Mexican leader of the white race, Nick Fuentes, shit his pants when he ran the mile?
Have you shit
Is
your
that what
pants?
it's come down to? Have you shit your pants?
Can I say
Are you
something?
riding a dildo right
Can
now?
I say something?
Is it covered in shit?
Is there a
the up your
dildo?
ass?
Can I
your
say
ass?
something? Can I say
Okay.
something? Can I say something?
Is there a
Can I say something?
10
Can I say
foot flat
something?
dildo
Can I say
rammed up
something?
your anus?
Can I
You've
say
been
something?
saying a lot. You've been saying
No,
a
can
lot.
I say something without being interrupted?
Sure.
Chaggot,
Can
have
I
you
say
shit
something
your
without
pants?
being interrupted? Can I
Have
say
you
something
shit
without
your
being
pants?
interrupted?
Okay.
Can
I'll
I-
let you
Chaggot, did
say-
you poop your
I'll let
pants?
you
Can I say something?
Give
Go
it a
ahead.
sec. I'll let you say what you want, as long as you say, "Please, Master PPP, may I speak?" Then I will let you. Then I will let you speak without being interrupted.
I want everyone watching the stream to know that they
Whoa,
lied
you're
about
not
what
allowed
I
to-
said.
What?
you all saw
you
that.
didn't-
You're not
Why,
allowed
you
to
didn't
talk
agree.
unless you say
You're not
that,
allowed.
Chaggot.
You're not
He's
allowed to
left.
talk, boy.
He's left.
What a little bitch. But you saw it, folks. He couldn't answer about AFPAC.
That was by far the worst person we've ever interviewed, by a country mile, right? That was, I mean, we've had Vordrak on, you know, we've had Nick's mother on, we've had Joshua Connor Moon on, you know, we've had a selection of we've had Java on, for fuck's sake, and that was by far the worst person that's ever been on this show.
It was. He was a disgusting piece of shit. I fucking despise him. I think the fact that he thinks it's okay to abuse women and pepper spray women is, including his own sister. And I think that there's not a single person watching this who would feel that he came across in a way where he was vindicated, you know, but he got what he wanted. He got to be a victim tonight. He got to be made a bitch by two other men who aren't criminals. So,
well, look, I was
is what
just
it
an
is.
impartial moderator in this. I don't even know what this PPP character is. I was sent
Yeah.
here by the Killstream Commission to oversee and officiate the fight, and I can certify that it was a full SmackDown BTFO in favor of. Is it PPP?
I think that's the name. What were you? I don't even remember. What was your name, man?
Well, I believe he kept calling me impartial moderator.
Impartial moderating. Round of applause for the impartial moderator.
Well, we gave a show. Whether we'll be sued for that show, I don't know. Because I mean, this guy is like the son of a state senator, and
Oh,
you know. But I'm happy to stand in court and defend myself against that man, aren't you, PPP?
I think so. I think he gets it. He got exactly what he deserved. He got exactly what he deserved. What a piece of shit.
All right. I suppose what's left to say? Yoba?
Yoba.